Hi, everybody. This is Annie from How's Annie. I hope you're doing good. I'm very excited today, a little bit nervous as well. I'm so honored that Cameron kindly accepted to come over to my channel to have a bit of a discussion about his stuff. Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous, welcome to my channel.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Whoa. Wow, sorry.
It's amazing for me. It's not amazing for you. You're used to that. You're like you're live on YouTube about 15 hours a week, so it's just like business as usual for you. But I'm glad you're like through the looking glass now. You've traveled over to my side of the world. So welcome to Montreal.
Oh, thank you. Well, no, I was so happy to bring you over to my channel that it's an honor to be over here on yours. This is sort of
Yeah,
like a testing ground for you because I know you want to do more live videos and actually engage in conversations with people and do interviews and stuff like that. So I'm glad to be your test dummy today. Thank you.
exactly. You're like yeah, just like people in scientific labs, like how they test medication that might make you radioactive. You might become radioactive from this online discussion. I'm super intimidated, but I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun. Thank you for being my nuclear testing ground.
Of course. Hopefully it will go smoother than the atom bomb sequence at the beginning of part 8.
It's okay. You can just like whistle a song like Lynch would, like, and people will be entertained by that. I'm sure we have like a great community, and the smallest things makes them happy. So I hope they'll be happy. Oh my God, we have 4 viewers. It's my 4 first viewers ever. I'm glad you guys are there. Thank you for encouraging my learning curve in interviewing people. By the way,
Steve in the
the,
chat says, I'm watching the video. It's now the other way around with Annie interviewing Cameron. You two have now melted my brain again. And
yeah.
James says, let's rock.
Oh, let's rock indeed. And before we get started on the serious stuff, like I was telling Cameron yesterday, I was stalking him online to prepare, but heads up, I'm not that well prepared. It's going to be improv because that's how we like it here. But before we get to the serious stuff, I just wanted to show off with my new t-shirt. So sorry, I don't want to like flash my chest, but so there you go to all tulpas in the world. Don't go killing anybody. It's not what it means. It just means smiles all. Okay. And also, just because I'm not actually sure why, but I had this other frame in my house, and I thought that's so random. I'll bring it for my Twin Peaks discussion. But that's Fred Savage, and when people come over, I say, "Oh, this is my son, Kevin," and then like they get really confused because I don't have children or
Well,
anything.
here's the best part. Now that I'm on your channel,
Yeah.
it's literally vice versa, which was a Fred Savage movie in the 1980s.
I don't think I've seen that one, or maybe I have a lot of movies from the 80s. I have a very blurry memory of when I was like 6 or something. I'll watch this.
It was a body switching movie he did with Judge Reinhold.
Oh, really? Okay. When you say body switching movie, I just think about the Big with Tom Hanks.
Right, but that's a little boy who became big. I'm talking about a father and son who switched places.
Oh yeah, okay. I have this vague memory inside. I'm kind of like, don't shame me like you shamed Joey yesterday with the movies you hadn't seen from Lynch. I was like, well, Joey, I haven't seen it either. So I mean, we're not like experienced like in the world of entertainment like you are, and that's why you're actually my first guest here. Because I think anyone who's been watching your channel can definitely tell that you're more than just an enthusiast for cinema and culture in general. I think you know your stuff, and you devoured this stuff, and you're like an encyclopedia in yourself. So I think that's one of the reasons why you're so relevant on YouTube right now. So I'm honored to have you here to entertain us with your knowledge of entertainment.
Can you imagine if like Quentin Tarantino and I did a discussion online about movies? That'd be
Oh
pretty
my
amazing.
God. Yeah, why isn't that happening? Come on.
Because he doesn't do that. But that would be amazing.
People change. Maybe one day.
Because
I'm a hopeful
I used
person.
to run a video store too, so he and I would have a lot in common.
No way. Did you decide to sell your video store before it was time to sell?
No, I managed one. I didn't own it.
Oh, you managed it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh my God. Well, let's begin with that. That's fascinating. What's your best memory of people coming to get, like, did they get movie titles wrong? Do you have any kind of funny, weird anecdotes?
Well, I just remember that on weekday mornings we would open at 10 a.m. and there would already be a bunch of older guys, like retired men, waiting in line before we opened so they could come in and get the porno films. And then they would return them by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, obviously
Whoa.
before their wives got back, I
That
guess.
was a quickie. Wow. Well, actually, I'm sorry, that's a weird question, but like, there was usually a drop box for like overnight, like people who didn't have time to return the movie before. Did you ever like wear gloves for those 18 plus movies when people would
No,
hand them
but
back to you?
no, no. But what was super awkward is that the owner of the video store, besides me, only hired 16-year-old girls from the local high school. So that's who I was like managing. And so
Uh-huh.
at nighttime, they would always have like their boyfriends come over and just kind of hang out in the video store, and they would just watch movies on all the screens and barely do any work. But anyway,
Were they there to be protected against like the pervs who would cross those western doors in
well,
the
some of
hidden
the girls did
section?
kind of feel that way because these guys would come up to them with the covers, these 16-year-old
Yeah.
girls, and be like, "Do you think this is a good one?"
Yeah, that's awkward.
Yeah. So, but their boyfriends couldn't protect them from an aunt. I mean, they were, they were nerdy little film girls that dated nerdy little film boys, and so they're.
Those are the sweetest couples.
Yeah.
All right. So actually,
Oh
you're
well,
one.
but
Uh-huh.
before we start,
You're the leader here.
no, no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, no, no.
No, just
Before we
kidding.
start though, why don't you let your viewers that are watching currently give them a scoop about our new show we're going to be doing soon.
Oh my God, I get to do that. That's amazing. Well, I'm super thrilled that Cameron is planning on doing this weekly show on entertainment, news, show business, anything interesting that's happening on that week. And we will be joined with Joey Pedras, who's going to be collaborating on that as well. As far as I know, is he still on?
Yeah, but if he's not available, then it would just be you and I then, and maybe
Yeah,
maybe a special guest for that week or something.
yeah, we could invite Hal. I know people always
No,
enjoy to
actually,
have him.
Hal denied it. He said,
Really?
yeah, he says he doesn't know a lot about entertainment news, and I was saying, well, I would just kind of throw out the stories and just want to get your initial
Yeah,
reaction to it.
it would
You
be
know.
so hilarious to have him comment about, the most superficial things that could happen, like the Kardashians. I don't think we'll be talking about this, but
Well,
who
what's
knows?
funny is that this is a few years ago, but I've done entertainment videos before. They're always the least watched videos on my channel because,
Really?
yeah, because I think a lot of YouTube channels already do that kind of stuff, but they don't really have, dare I say, a lot of the insight that we would have because they're in the Hollywood system. They
Yeah.
have friends in the business, so they have to kind of be careful about what they say, whereas we don't. But I
Yeah, you can
remember
be obnoxious and anonymous, although you're
exactly.
neither of those
Yeah,
things.
which is why I call it that because it's so ironic. But a few years ago, I was talking with Julie Cruz,
Mm.
and she was very interested in coming on the channel, but she didn't want to talk David Lynch, Twin Peaks, anything like that.
What else
So
is there to say then?
she wanted to come on my entertainment news videos and discuss Ben Affleck as Batman. I was like, that would be amazing. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I always thought, wouldn't that be so random? My guest today is Julie Cruz, and we're going to be talking about the DC cinematic universe.
Yeah, well, that's your angle, that's something you don't see anywhere. I
Right.
love it when different like outsiders actually join in on a topic that they're really not related or that they don't know anything about. I mean, that's where you get the interesting discussions, I find, not like the proper
Right.
corporate
Well, I mean,
discussions.
just even going back to the interview I did with Jennifer Lynch, I mean, the first question I asked her was, what do you think about all these Marvel movies being made? because I'd never seen someone in the David Lynch family go on record about the wave of superhero movies that were, you know, coming out.
Yeah.
And
what was her answer? I watched that interview, but I can't remember.
no, she was just saying, like, you know, it's great, it's wonderful, but you know, not all movies are that, or should be that, so we shouldn't just cater in one direction. And
yeah,
it was, you know, it was a very good answer, but I was just like, I thought it was hilarious because she was probably thinking, you know, I'm going to ask her something about Laura Palmer or something like that. I'm like, so what do you think about these Marvel movies? And just and it threw her off in a way that I think it made her even more comfortable. Like, wow, you know, who knows where this conversation is going to go?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I certainly don't think she was planning on that interview being over 2 hours like it was, but
yeah.
But it wasn't like I was like, I'm determined to keep her on for 2 hours. It wasn't like that. It was because we were just friendly. We were just having a discussion, and it just ended up, you know how it is. Yeah, you come on one of my videos, next thing you know, it's been 3 hours.
Yeah.
You don't know how long you've been on. So
yeah, exactly. I don't know how you do it sometimes. And it's just like, don't you need a bathroom break? That's my only question, really. But it's not a real question. Yeah.
After the video. Yeah, not during the video because I'm too nervous. So I you know,
yeah, so. You get your superpowers on. But you know, from that interview with Jennifer Lynch, which is, I mean, a super impressive guest to have over at your channel. One of the things that I remember the most about this is how, you know, you were saying, man, I have so many projects. I wish I was like a little blonde girl who's 20 and super cute. So like she could get a lot of hype about her project. And she was like, really, man, it's so hard for women. Even, I mean, and I don't want to associate her with she's the daughter of, but she is the daughter of David Lynch, and she's an accomplished artist herself. And the fact that she still struggles and that people will actually tell her, you're very talented for like a woman movie director. I mean, what the hell is this? I was shocked to hear that.
Well, you know what, though, that interview was done in 2000. Was it? No, it was like 2013, I think. Oh. And that was before she had done some TV work, but since then, I mean, her TV directing career has just exploded. So she's getting a lot more work now than she was at the time of that interview. And
I'm sure she still gives the comment like you're still you're a good woman director. Like you're not a director, you're a woman director. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, but I think, you know, and it would be great for her to do more like original projects. But there's a filmmaker, Tom McLaughlin, who in the 80s, he made Friday the 13th Part 6. He made a movie called Date with an Angel. But for the last 30 years, he's done like a ton of TV movies. And I remember hearing an interview with him, people saying, well, how come you don't do more original films? Why are you doing all these TV movies? And he said, you know what? In Hollywood, it takes 2 to 3 years to get a project going. You have to, you know, get the script, you have to go to all these, you know, you have to pitch it to all these places, then you have to cast it, then you have to distribute it. It takes 2 or 3, 4 years of your life. Whereas if you are a director for hire, TV companies will come to you and say, hey, we got these projects that have already gone through the process. And so he goes, I can direct 3 to 4 movies a year. And so, yeah, they're not original projects, but I got into this business to be a filmmaker, and that is to make films and movies. And if I can do 4 movies a year, that's more than my colleagues do.
Yeah.
And so in a way, it's great that Jennifer Lynch is doing these TV projects because she's getting so much more experience directing so many different types of shows than she would if she just made a single film every 5 years.
Yeah.
So in a way, she's honing her craft in a way that a lot of indie filmmakers aren't able to do. So when she does decide to make another film, she's going to be 10 times the filmmaker she was if she hadn't done all those other projects.
Would you say that to date, she was the biggest interview that you've made on your channel? Is it like...
Oh, I don't know. I honestly, I consider every name I get like pretty big. And the only reason why I got Jennifer Lynch was I had met her at a film festival and we got along very, very well. And unfortunately, like she had to go, you know, obviously she's a big name, so she can't hang out at the film festival all day long. Right. So I went on. I thought she was still like signing things, so I went back to her table, and then people are like, "Oh no, unfortunately, she left." So I was like, "Oh darn," because so I contacted her afterwards, and we started talking, and I said, "You know what? It would be really great if because at the time, I mean, I never intended my YouTube channel to be what it is now, and even now, it's kind of smaller than what I guess I'd want it to be, but." I always looked at myself as a filmmaker that was interested in discussing entertainment and film and TV. Not so much as like Entertainment Weekly or anybody like a journalist, but more of like a colleague talking to a colleague.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I have not the clout that someone like Jennifer Lynch even has, I still look at she still does the same things I do in terms of, working with people, working with writers, working with actors, editing, that type of thing. So I wanted to talk with her more of like, filmmaker to filmmaker that way. Yeah. And I think that's why that interview is ultimately successful, because it's two like friends who are filmmakers having a discussion and not somebody just trying to look for juicy sound bites.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like a multimedia paparazzi of any sort.
Yeah. And it's funny too with my channel, because I had YouTube channels before the one I had. Like I had like a just my personal one. But when Google took over YouTube, I had a lot of my short films and things like that on there. But when Google took over YouTube, they really went after anything that had any sort of copyright music on it or anything like that. So all those videos got yanked down. My channel got yanked down, that type of thing. So I was like, well, I can't put those up, but I can put up talking head pieces and stuff like that. So that's basically what happened. And so I was just kind of doing it in my spare time. And then when I started doing the Twin Peaks videos, it was just more of like talking about a show I really enjoyed and loved growing up. Didn't really think too much of it because they were only getting like 100 views a video. I mean, they're very small. And then over time, you'd get a few hundred, and so people liked it. So that was great. And then when the new show got announced, that's when the views started just escalating like crazy for those videos. So it was, I mean, I was surprising.
But it's still impressive. I find that before there was any future for Twin Peaks, any hope, like the 25 years later, that there would still be, even if it's 100 views, that there will still be like those super passionate fans that were just still desperate, like 20 something years later, to hear about, like, to figure out that puzzle and to have this discussion going. In a way, it tells you how Twin Peaks has had like this powerful, life-changing and like life-changing for the fans, but also, in the industry, the fact that Twin Peaks, it changed the status quo, when people were left wanting more. So that's because of those people that the show was back eventually, right?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to speak generally now. All right, so I'm going to make some generalizations.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You're allowed.
Well, women get together and they discuss, I don't know, like how their day is, what's going on with them, their world. When guys get together, for the most part, they'll talk about, okay, some guys will talk about sports, right? My group has always talked about movies and TV shows and that type of thing. Always. But through discussing those movies and TV shows, we're talking to our friends about how everything's going in our life and how we are. Even though we're not outwardly coming out and saying, oh yeah, my day was kind of hard today. We're like discussing the shows in a way that reflects back on who we are.
Yeah.
Right. So like by discussing trivial pop entertainment, we're revealing more about ourselves than we would be if we just opened up about our feelings.
That's fascinating. So you almost have a persona, which is like the scene that you're mentioning. That's what you're going through in a way, and you're mentioning. Yeah,
and that's what I was trying to say yesterday about, for instance, like Twin Peaks, that there's a complete symbiotic relationship between the viewer and the show. So what you put into the show is what you get out of it. And by discussing Twin Peaks, it's almost like people get so passionate about the show. So it almost becomes like religion. So in a way, discussing the show and how you view it and how you interpret the things in it basically reflects on who you are as a human being. And so therefore, by discussing David Lynch and Twin Peaks works, you're basically discussing who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
And therefore, by just discussing something as silly as Agent Cooper's World of Mysteries, you're basically telling people who you are as a human being and how you view the world. So in a way, I think that's why those Twin Peaks videos are very successful. I think that, yes, it's a way of discussing a show that we all love, but it's also a way for Twin Peaks and David Lynch fanatics to get together and discuss how we are feeling about the world and who we are without actually explicitly talking about our emotions and our feelings.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely an element of spirituality in...
and sort of catharsis, you know? We're all going through the same things together. And by discussing, you know, the shows together, we're kind of, I don't know, it's almost like a therapy group, like you've said before, you know?
Exactly. And there are so many, I mean, I was saying the other day on Twitter that, you know, some people must be like, why do you only discuss Twin Peaks all the time? But to me, Twin Peaks encompasses all. There's the nuclear bomb in it. There's a lot of, and I mean, wasn't it funny that on the day of the finale, I mean, I was joking about let's just stay alive until the finale is over. But then you get like all those talks with North Korea, and you're like, oh, will Cameron explode on the West Coast during part 18 or what? Like, so, you know, it's fiction and it's crazy ideas, but those crazy ideas are true. They're based on reality. So that's why it's fascinating.
Yeah, and people have asked me, like, are you going to cover other shows? Like, for instance, Stranger Things is coming out. And I was like, no, because, you know, even I might discuss, like, the show, like, in a standalone, not Stranger Things, but let's say another TV show could be a standalone episode.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could take Gossip Girl and discuss it for 200 episodes.
Yeah. Or you'd have to create, like, 20 new YouTube channels for like each of those shows, and I don't think you want to spread yourself thin like this.
What do you say about shows that just are surface level shows? Even if they are entertaining, there's very little to say about them.
You know, yeah, it's anecdotal. I guess you could be like, oh, that happened, that was great, that was funny, this
right, but then you're
actor was there, but yeah.
But you're just a Wikipedia post at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's very few things that you can talk about that are as huge and like I said, that could reflect back on who you are as a human being.
Yeah, and worldwide as well, because I mean, some shows, I mean, obviously now people in Japan get to see what's happening on US television, but I think for Twin Peaks, I think there's probably more fans outside of the US than in the US itself. I mean, I'm not being scientific right now, but I see a lot of like Scandinavian people who are obsessed with Twin Peaks. So that's great. It's like this like world glue, like making separate tiny weirdos all over the world have something in common to discuss and to be passionate about and to analyze.
Don't worry, that's a plane going over my head. That isn't a nuclear bomb heading my way.
Thank God, I was worried about this. What do you think? Because you were mentioning people, you know, they get back what they put into Twin Peaks. So what do you say to those people? And there's quite a few who seem to be really upset that other people might still be having fun with it, still try to decipher the mystery, still try to break the code, and they're just like, give up, everybody, give up, stop it, it doesn't mean anything. Like,
well, those people need to leave the party and go home.
And then what should they do? Watch like something super superficial and just be content?
No, I mean, but let's be honest here. That's today's culture. I mean, to just crap on everything anyway. So, and you no matter, even if Twin Peaks had the most spectacular ending of all time, there'd still be people on Twitter going, wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, and I'm glad that they did this through Showtime and not Netflix, because yeah, it would have been great to have the whole thing drop on Netflix, but then the discussion would have been over that Monday.
Yeah, for sure.
And not all summer. So
yeah, and I don't think you would have had enough time to process the whole thing. Of course, at first I thought it was kind of cruel. I mean, I'm getting used to binge watching stuff on Netflix, and when I heard that we'd get a couple of episodes at first, and then one by week, but at some point, like there were some holidays in the US, so for 2 weeks you would get an episode, and I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna die. It's so cruel. But then it got me time to watch again and to process and to watch different videos online about it and to get the discussion going and your thought process activated. So
did that inspire you to do your channel? Because you didn't start your channel until around part 16, right? Or 15?
Part 15. Yeah,
15.
Part 15.
So what was the final thing that made you go, I'm going to jump on board with this?
I like how you're the one interviewing me right now.
No, I'm just curious.
I know, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's a great question. I'm glad to answer that. And you're part of the people who actually inspired me to do this. I think
that's a lie.
It's not. I watched you before. I did. I told you that.
You were a stalker.
I wasn't a stalker though. No, I was just peeking at different things, and you were one of the ones. Joey as well, and the vlog lady Carmen Bozia, and Games but Universe. I always get confused with their name, but they were like a big podcast, but I thought they were entertaining. And a friend of mine, after part 8, she said, oh, go watch that YouTube channel, the GameSpot one. And so I was like, oh wow, that's cool. So I binge watched all of their episodes in like one sitting, and then I was like, I'm hungry for more. So that's how I found you. I found the vlog lady. I found everybody else. And at first I was just commenting, and I felt like I was going to implode inside. So a few weeks later, and I mean, honestly, I always thought I was too shy to go on a video that people would be like, go home. And for some reason, like I had this gut feeling that I have to take part of this, even though there's going to be like, I thought I would get 20 views, to be honest. Like I was like, it's not 0 and it's not 2 million. So I'm not like virally idiotic right now. People are like making memes of me. And also there's not like nobody who cares. There's a couple of people. And for some reason, like people just enjoyed seeing my reactions, and I very much enjoy hearing from them as well, having that conversation going. And then I got your comment asking me to come over, and I was honestly, that was like one of the surreal moments in my life, Cameron, because I was like, I was watching this guy 1 week ago, and now I'm inside his screen on YouTube. So thank you again. I mean, I'll say it forever, but thank you for that. It's been the most amazing experience for me.
Well, you came at the right time too, because when we did the lead up to the finale, and all of a sudden Sabrina's coming on, and
I know, right? I was like, what's happening? I'm starstruck. I was like, I need to ask her questions, and I did. In the end, you were like, oh, Annie, you never run out of words, so why don't you ask a question? I was like, okay. But yeah,
but you were able to tell her like how you felt about the show, and that was wonderful.
Exactly. Well, you know what? I think that's been sorry, I'm getting like a super scary voice right now. That's been what's the fuel inside of me, like keeping that fire inside, that led me to act on things I wouldn't have before. I would have been way too shy, or why bother? Why would it be relevant to have a YouTube channel at all? Like I wasn't getting this, but like this passion, I need to contact these guys. I need to let them know how powerful I believe their project is right now, how we need to have more of those, and just kind of like encourage them to make more stuff. And it's probably very selfish. I just want more quality products. So I want them to know that what they do really matters. And it's not to be like cheesy, or to, just like stroke them like on the right side. I just want them to know that they have an impact on people. And I know I'm not the only one. And it's a huge impact. I'm not kidding. I'm not just saying that, it's, for me, as soon as I saw, and it's ridiculous, like it's my little Nadine, my inner Nadine talking now. But when I saw the infomercial with the gold shovels, I was just mind blown. And in a way, it was a metaphor for something I needed to hear and I needed to see at that time. And it was a joke. Like for me, it was one of the most hilarious things I've ever heard. But seeing this like gave me so much strength inside. I was like, yeah, get out of the shit into the truth, with your gold shovel. And for me, it was super powerful. So I can't imagine. I mean, if everybody was forced to watch Twin Peaks, some of them might be going crazy because they can't handle it. But I think we would have better human beings on Earth. Or maybe it's just a magnet for really great people who get like attracted to that product.
Well, not just that moment, but think about that scene where Harry Dean Stanton tells the elderly man that he shouldn't need to sell his blood to pay for his rent, right?
Yeah,
That little bit of kindness, I think that's Lynch and Frost saying to the world that we need more of this in the world.
exactly. And it's so accurate. It's something, I mean, it's not fiction. A lot of people do this. A lot of people, like, if they could sell their arms to get, like, to pay their mortgage, they probably would. So this is what I like. It's fiction, it's sci-fi in a way, but it's so true at the same time. And it's like the mundane sometimes, and sometimes it's just like the horrific things you see in life, but they are happening all the time. This is why, like, they are created content, but it's like true content that they're putting in our face, and they're like, what do we do with this? You know, I'm still not sure what to do with this, but I like how their views of the world can, like, they transpire through Twin Peaks. I love those guys. I didn't know about Mark Frost before season 3. I was kind of like, I was a fan of Twin Peaks season 1 and 2, but I wasn't intense like I've become over the last couple of months. I was like, oh, Mark Frost, okay, so he created that with Lynch. Okay. Now, I mean, I drink his words that he writes on Twitter. You must think I'm a stalker, but I'm a friendly one, so it's okay. But he's like, I have so many, like, great role models now, and that's why I'll never stop saying it. But those guys, they changed my life for sure. Like, they changed the way I look at things, and I'm like, I'm hopeful because of people like this, but also because of all the fans, and that they're in your chat room 2 or 3 times a week just discussing, and they're such quality people. I'm privileged to witness that.
Yeah, we have just a lot of great people in the chats all the time, and I just really hope that they also continue to follow us on our other videos when we decide to maybe tackle another topic or something like that. Even if it's just a one-time video, all the views really help because obviously if all the Twin Peaks videos get a lot of views, and then I don't know, you do a video about a certain movie and it only gets 10 views, well, obviously you get the point that, okay, they don't want us to talk about that. But if all the other videos start getting 10, 15 views, then you go, okay, I guess they only just want us to talk about Twin Peaks, which, I'm happy to do, but it would be nice to be able to talk about other things as well, because we have so much knowledge in our heads, that, I don't know.
Yeah. I have some knowledge. I have a lot of jokes as well, like just waiting to be thrown away like this on YouTube. So I'm sure, I mean, they might not be as popular as the biggest podcast you've made this summer, but I think people want to hear about Cameron and about his guests, like the guests that you choose and that you decide to bring over. I think people are actually genuinely interested in this. They like your take on stuff, and they like that they can also comment in the chat section. So it's a whole community vibe, I think.
Well, I've done something, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I've done something that a lot of other YouTube channels just haven't done. And that is, I do have, a pretty large group. Well, I have a pretty large group of people that I bring in and out, rotating guests. But then there's other days where I'm like, you know what? This is going to be an open call. Who wants to come on?
Yeah.
And I'll bring on 4 or 5 people, that email me, and they, they're very sincere. So I'm like, let's do it, and I think that, to me, that makes it even more fun. Like the day we did the countdown to the finale,
exactly.
I just said anyone who wants to come on and can come on. And we had people just floating in and out throughout the afternoon. And some of the lucky ones were there when we had Twin Peaks actors and Sabrina Sutherland there. And I mean, I can't imagine another Twin Peaks podcast or video podcast doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't. I mean, they don't. That's why it's kind of low profile but inclusive at the same time. So it's super pertinent.
Right. And some people have accused me and some of the guests on the show as being Twin Peaks elitists and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, we do kind of have an ego, but not like a big ego where we're like, you know, oh, get away. But like, yes, we're very proud of the videos we do. We're very proud of the, you know, the time we put into these things. So if we weren't proud of what we did, why would we be doing this? You know, we're happy to do this, but you know, we're very proud of the work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I look back over some of the things that some of the videos I've done. I'm so happy that I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being proud of what you do.
Yeah. And as you've said before, like, you consider that your audience isn't, you know, it's people who know the basic stuff and more, you know, it's actually advanced watchers that you get. It's not like, oh, so Laura Palmer, she was the girl who died. You know, you don't have to explain, like, they just found out.
You can go back to the very first thought of the day video I ever did, and there is no remedial Twin Peaks education there. It's, you know, my guest and I, we just dove right in, right from there.
Exactly.
We just assume that anyone watching this probably has already seen the show.
Yeah.
So that's where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially if your videos are super long, like you wouldn't expect somebody who's just like wanting to learn a bit about Twin Peaks. That's not what they're going to watch. You know, they're going to watch a super short video with a bunch of images and, you know, they're spoon-fed a little bit. So that's something different that you offer. And I think both are great, but you have your special market. So that's why I like you so much, Cameron. And I'm so proud to collaborate with you. Seriously.
Well, you know, it does crack me up though. And again, if I can just put on my complaint helmet for 1 second.
Go ahead.
It does crack me up that there are other podcasters and other people in the Twin Peaks community that get personally invited to a lot of events, festivals, and that type of thing, to moderate panels, to just to do stuff around the conventions.
Yeah, to be involved. Yeah.
And yet I've been doing this for 5 years and none of them have ever like come to me and said, hey, would you even be interested in maybe doing this later down the line or another time? Or, you know, nope. I'm kind of like even though a lot of people watch the shows and a lot of people respect the shows, I'm also kind of the one on the fringe too.
Yeah, you're the underdog, but you like the underdog. So
I do, but I'm really curious as to why, because I've talked with and interviewed more people than a lot of the other podcasts have, you know. Yeah. Again, like you said, it's a very it's an opinionated podcast, but it's also a very inclusive podcast.
Yeah.
If something is great in my opinion, I will shout it out from the rooftops. If something is terrible, I will shout it out from the rooftops. And I think in a way, in my opinion, that's what keeps the podcast classy, because if we were just kissing everybody's butt all the time, then how can you respect that?
Yeah, and I mean, you can do that for so long, but what else? Like, you know, you got to bring some content as well and some ideas. I think that's why people like it. Like the hardcore Twin Peaks fans or enthusiasts, I think they're looking for different angles. They're looking to dig a little bit deeper as well than just the surface. So I think, you know, the crazy ones are, well, the crazy fans who love it so much. I mean, there's food for thoughts there. So,
well, I remember when was it? It was James Marshall, I think, that was talking to me about how, oh, Cameron, we all know who you are. I was like, oh, what does that mean?
Nice.
No, not the way he put it. I was
no?
Like,
oh.
Well, no, I mean, he was just saying that, like, because I don't know, maybe they all think I'm like the Rush Limbaugh or something of Twin Peaks podcast or something. Because at the time there wasn't, when the new show started, that's when all the Twin Peaks videos started kicking in.
Yeah.
And while there were other Twin Peaks podcasts, there weren't that many on YouTube. And I was doing a weekly or, you know, a couple times a month show that was going 2-3 hours long, discussing not just the show, not just the creators, but the filmmaking process, talking about the community itself. So like if the DUGPA forum or whatever was getting out of line, I would call them out for it. And then people would get upset with me because of that. But then other people would be like, you're totally right to call them out for it. So it became this whole thing where it's like, I'm not taking a side here. I'm saying you know, some people made missteps, other people, you know, it's just kind of funny how people hold grudges in a fan community too. So
Yeah, but also I'm thinking maybe, I mean, some people might be slightly intimidated. I'm just theorizing right now, but let's say you're part of the cast of Twin Peaks or the original Twin Peaks. You get invited to your show and you know the guy knows his stuff, you might know more than they do about the series itself. So they don't want to look foolish or anything. Maybe they don't feel they're
but you have
prepared.
watched, I'm pretty sure, a lot of my interviews.
Yeah.
Is there an interview I have done that you've seen where I don't make the guests feel completely comfortable?
Oh no, for sure. You're always super welcoming. You're a fan in the first place. So of course you're never gonna be disrespectful towards them, or you're not there to trap them. It's not a trap. It's not a trap, but I'm thinking maybe it's easier for them to smile and be like, oh, hi, Entertainment Weekly or something, because it's a bit more shallow. It's easier and it's good for their, their views and their marketing attempts. So not all the human beings on earth are interested in like having deep conversations about things. So although, I'm sure some of them would be super excited. Maybe, I look forward to seeing who else you're going to get in the future, because I'm sure there's a couple of people from the cast or around Twin Peaks that would be delighted to.
Well, not just Twin Peaks. Just interviews in general. I'm interested in talking to all different types of people, but yeah, no, I don't really you say intimidation, but nobody has ever left one of my interviews going, oh, they're always so happy.
Yeah.
I remember Catherine Nicholson would write me email after email just thanking me for the opportunity and stuff. Like really? Like, I'm nobody compared to you, and you've done tons of interviews with tons of people. But she was so appreciative of the fact that because when I do an interview, I don't just sit down and, all right, let's just do this interview. I spend like a week or so, however long I know I have this interview booked, planning, right? I'll research everything they've done. I'll go through every interview they've ever done and only ask questions that they've never been asked before.
Yeah.
And they seem to really like
notes. I'm taking notes for my interviewing skills.
Yeah. Right. But that to me is the best. Like, why should someone tune into one of your interviews if you're just going to ask them the same 10 questions that everybody asks them?
Of course.
That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, you have a different angle, so that's good. And when I got to know you, I knew you as a video maker online. I wasn't aware of everything else that you've been involved with. And, I'm quite fascinated. I learned by stalking on your, stalking what came up with your name on Google. You were actually an actor in the Steve Jobs movie. Did you do that?
No, I was an extra in it.
You were an extra, but did you appear? Can we see you if I watch the movie? Am I gonna? No way. So that's why you're uncredited. Yeah. But you were a part of this.
Yeah.
Did you want to be an actor when you were a kid? Like, no. What led you to?
No.
So it was directing movies. You just like get your hands wherever you can.
No, I actually was writing when I was younger, like real young, and I remember reading a screenwriting book when I was in 6th grade, when I was like 10, 11 years old. And it basically said, just so you know, when you write something, you have to be prepared to give up the vision of it because someone else is going to do it. And I'm fine with that if that's what you go into like a writing job for.
Yeah, like the death of the author. Yeah.
Right. But I always said, well, the real personal stuff to me, I would make myself then, because that's how you're going to make sure your vision is complete. So that's where the idea of becoming a filmmaker when I was young came from. So, but I've written stuff for other people to do. And I don't even, honestly, it's funny, with rare exceptions, I don't even watch it, like even after it's done.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, because I see it in my head. I don't want to see what they've done with it. And I'd rather, so I just, the moment I'm done, I give it to them. I break the umbilical cord with it. I'm done with it.
Did you ever think about becoming a detective of some sort? Because if I look at your interests, of course, there's Twin Peaks. You've been doing a lot of research and documentaries about unsolved crimes. You played a detective in a
No,
movie.
that was
So
an
what's up
extra
with
part too
that?
as well. I don't know. I am fascinated by true crime stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, I will drop something on your show that I've never said publicly out loud before. So how many people are watching right now?
26 people, 26
Okay.
lucky privileged people.
All right. So back in the mid 90s, I'm not going to get into explicit details about it, but I will say this. This will show you the kind of detail I go for. So in the mid 90s, I wrote a script based on a true story about some people who collectively murdered somebody. And the screenplay I thought was really good. But I wasn't sure if it was because I wasn't there, right?
Mhm.
So I wasn't sure how authentic it was. I mean, I brought my personal vision into it, but again, you want those details.
I'm glad you weren't there because you would have been one of the guilty murderers.
That's true. That's true. But that being said, so I contacted them in prison and I sent them the screenplay, and then we went through it on the phone over the next year and we broke it down, and I was able to plug in all of their details that they had
Whoa.
never told anybody. So the screenplay is completely what happened.
And they were already incriminated for it. So I
Yeah,
guess it was like without consequence for them to admit even more with the gory details, right?
right. Because if they're going to have their story told, they want it to be as authentic as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I revamped the screenplay with their input, and then I put it in a film festival, and it came in second place. It was going to come in first place, but first place would get money to make it. And they knew that their investors, they told me on the side that they knew their
Right.
investors would be upset if this movie got funded
Wow.
because of this idea that I had written it and then had input from the actual criminals. But anyway, somebody contacted me that was going to give me some money to make it,
Mm-hmm.
who ended up being a complete scam artist and stealing a whole bunch of money from me, because I was putting it in a, I was raising money for it. And so there was a collective bank account, and they took it all.
Whoa.
So I was working with actors to get them involved in the film, and I had to tell them the money got stolen, but I had a little bit of time to maybe raise some more money. So I worked really, really hard on it, and it looked like it was getting there. And then September 11th happened, 2001.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I know, I'm just saying, but I'm just putting a year there. So basically at that point, that kind of story, it's not time to do that anymore.
Whoa.
So I basically closed up shop on it. A few of the people who did go to prison are now out of prison.
Yay.
No, I'm just, anyway, so they're now out. And so the idea of me making a film about that, like, say now,
Yeah.
well, then that puts them in an even more awkward position, because now they have to deal in society and they're not protected behind the walls.
Yeah.
Right. So this film would be absolutely incredible. But I don't want to jeopardize any more people's lives by making it, because it would bring so much unwanted attention their way. Yes, they are responsible for stuff, but now they're out.
Yeah, and you don't want to make them regret having confided in you.
Well, not just that, but I don't want people, they're living kind of anonymous lives right now.
Yeah.
Then it would bring it back up. Everyone would know about it, and then they would be completely harassed by whoever,
Yeah.
And
they've
so
purged their sentence already. So
yeah. But anyway, I've never told that online before, so there you go.
whoa, that's fascinating. Were you surprised when you learned that, the world of entertainment, culture, and arts is driven by politics that much? because, you know, the fact that you came second place because it, you know, they didn't want to invest on that project. They would, you know, they were uncomfortable with this. It's quite surprising that there are politics like this, like coming over a work of art that gets to be done or not. That's, I mean, I'm not that surprised, but it's still shocking to hear in a way.
Timing is everything.
Yeah. Huh. Did you encounter a lot of scam artists on
Oh,
your
oh,
in your different projects? Yeah.
they're everywhere. Yeah, but I've only been scammed once. So
Jeez, man.
yeah, it was horrible because it came from somebody who I personally knew, and
Mhm.
they vouched for these people who wanted to get into the film business, and so they were raising capital, and they'd shown that they were on the up and up, and then not only did they take off with the money, but my friend also disappeared with them. So obviously she was in on it. So it was very heartbreaking
Yeah.
to lose all that money. And at that time, the internet was still relatively new, so you couldn't really track people like you could today.
Mhm.
And now I've tried to track them, and I can't even come
Yeah,
close
they're
to
off the
finding them.
grid.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, so they walked away with thousands and thousands of dollars. So
Well, I mean, anywhere there's going to be any amount of money, those people are going to smell it and come for it, right? That's unfortunate, though. Did it turn you off from making other projects? Because,
no, it just became
yeah.
it was just another thing of like what a horrible like roadblock it was. And it was going to be one of those projects where, you know, you want to talk about being inclusive.
Mhm.
I kind of looked at it when it looked like the project was going to happen. I looked at it as like, well, this is my time to like you know that quote, all my life has prepared me for this moment,
Yeah.
right? So I started contacting all these people that I knew throughout my life. So a young woman who I knew, who had always made like outfits for the plays that were at my high school.
Mhm.
I had contacted her, and she was all set to do the costumes for the movie. So like I was find people like, oh, I remember this person had a really good talent for this when I was like 10 years old. Oh, they still live in my town. Oh, you know, and I would talk to them, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that would be great to do. So I was kind of trying to bring like almost everybody that I had encountered in my life to make this kind of true story. So it was kind of cool. So, but in a way, by canceling the project, it was like, once again, like canceling everybody else's dreams. And it just, you know, that kind of stuff just breaks your heart.
Mhm. It does, but I guess like everything in life, it does prepare you for future things as well. So,
Sure.
And do you feel like talking to me a bit about the bird with a broken wing? Because I'm fascinated by the fact that you're a fan of horror movies, but then horror events in life um, seem to captivate you as well. And I think it's been, you know, you've led your own investigation in a way. I know the project hasn't happened. Do you think it might at some point, or
Hopefully. I mean, I'm not giving up on it, but
can you give a bit of background? I'm sure like people who follow you know a bit, but
okay. Well, the story is called Bird with a Broken Wing. There is a Facebook page for it. Back in 2009, I was told the story about an unsolved serial killer that was rampant in the mid to late 70s and mid 80s, and he's never been caught. So, and what made it really scary to me was that where he attacked in the 70s was about a mile from where my mom and stepdad were living. And where he attacked in the 80s was a mile from where I was going to college.
oh my God, was he following you?
No, because I was there at different times. But still, it was fascinating because the stomping grounds were areas I was familiar with.
Mhm.
Right. So I started poking around in it on the investigation, and I came across the his last victim, and he had attacked and for about 5-6 years and then stopped. And then he came out of hiding in 86 and killed this one girl and then disappeared forever.
Yeah.
So I was fascinated, like, why did he come out of hiding for this one girl?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it doesn't seem that he was in prison during those 5 years. So he was like laying low, and then this girl kind of did, triggered him something. But she got it the worst. It's very much like a Jack the Ripper thing, where it's like he almost knew she was going to be the last one.
Right.
So the reason why it's called Bird with a Broken Wing is because that's a poem that she wrote, and it mirrors who she was, and it also mirrors him too, because he had a screw loose too.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got in touch with her family back in 2009. They were incredibly supportive, because nobody had been interested in.
Do you think it gave them closure, that you would be interested in her story? Like the case is cold, just lying there, nobody cares anymore, and then this guy is interested and wants to dig deeper.
Right. Well, no, it was, and because of me looking into this, that the FBI started getting involved, because I started turning over the stuff that I started finding.
Yeah.
And that reopened the investigation from the FBI's point of view. And then now these unsolved cases are pretty popular now, because in the last year and a half, all these TV shows have now started to talk about it. But at the time, nobody was. And if you dig deep and use Google, you'll see that all these articles were being written about me and the film long before this thing ever became publicly out there. So it's almost like me complaining out there about wanting to do this story, and in a way getting the girl Janelle Cruz's life out there. It kind of, I started a snowball effect.
Yeah. Do you think you've upsetted people? Because I was listening to a podcast you made a few years ago, and you're talking about the message boards there, and sometimes you'd want to share something, and then you just go tell the FBI, and next thing you know, like the next day, the whole message board knows about what you've said to the FBI, and they're like dissing you online. What's with that?
That was a problem at one point. Now, I mean, I'm not on the message boards very much anymore, but whenever I am, people say just only the kindest things, because they realize that I wasn't trying to like stir the pot. Like they know that I was trying to, help. But I mean, I've been interviewed, like I said, on podcasts. Was it, a lot of the like 2020 and those kind of shows, that have used footage that I own or have shot. The movie was talked about on, like ABC News and all, I mean, it has gotten so much publicity that I'm shocked that nobody has ever contacted me about, well, let's make this movie, because I can't do it alone. It's too big. know. So I've tried to do the crowdfunding thing again, though. In 2011, 2012, nobody cares. Nobody knows about these stories.
Was it, because with Netflix, a lot of like crime shows, like real crime shows, have popped up. So do you think maybe now it?
Well, maybe, but again, with Netflix and those kind of things, you still have to have like an agent.
Yeah.
And I don't have an agent, so that's kind of a hindrance there. I've talked with so many filmmakers about agents, and they've all said the same thing to me, which is if you go looking for an agent, you're going to get scammed.
Right. They have to find you.
So basically they said, just start doing a lot of work and people will come to you. And then you can, it's kind of like lendingtree.com. You get to pick your best deal then, right? So I'm still waiting for that to happen. But in the meantime, the cases have become very public. People know about them more than ever. I was very good friends with Michelle McNamara, who of course was married to Patton Oswalt. She was working on a book about these cases. I did an interview with her, which you can find online. before she was even writing the book. So like the FBI and the police were going at it from one angle. She was coming at it from a book angle, and I was going to come at it from a film angle. And we were going to basically expose these cases, you know, to the world. Unfortunately, she passed away. I haven't got my film made, and the FBI is still looking for the guy. So it's been a long journey. Hopefully, the film will get made. It's not a documentary. It is like a feature film with actors.
Yeah. But you've been
Oh,
researching. It's based on facts, right?
oh, it's completely. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But it's like you can't do it as a documentary because there's very little footage.
Yeah.
There's, the people who will talk on camera have already talked on camera, and so you're not really going to get anything new out of them. The police can only say so much. And then there's a lot of people who obviously won't talk on camera because the guy's still uncaught.
Yeah.
So, but there are, I know that there is currently a huge news special being made about these cases, like a 8 to 10 hour huge documentary is being made about these cases. And I can't say too much more except to say that I was interviewed on camera for it. And they do talk about my film and what I'm trying to do with it. So hopefully when that comes out, people will see that and come look for the film. So maybe there's still hope for it. I really do hope, because it would be incredible to tell this girl's story. I mean, people, it's not Fire Walk with Me, obviously, you know what I mean? But it's kind of like, I always looked at it as like, well, you know, that's kind of like what Lynch was doing with Fire Walk with Me, but I would be doing it with a real girl's story, you know? So.
Yeah. Well, I did see there was like some kind of a teaser like coming up soon online, and I saw a lot of the footage from her family that you gathered. And to make a feature film about this girl, I think would be very interesting because she seems like a vibrant young person. She reminded me a bit like Audrey Horne or something like that. She seems really charming and vivid. Yeah, so as a character, I think it would be a very rich character.
Yeah, she's very much Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street and Laura Palmer. Like she's those two personalities together. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't me like, you know, going, oh, I'm going to make her Laura Palmer. She just was that.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of young girls, you know, see themselves so much in the diary that Jen Lynch wrote and stuff like that, because I think a lot of young girls kind of go through a lot of similar emotions and feelings growing up. So that's where she was when she was killed.
Yeah.
You know, she was 18. So she was right there in that Laura Palmer stage. So
interesting. Well, best of luck with that. I would.
Thanks.
Seriously, I would love to see this.
Well, so would I. But you know what, though? I have to tell you, it just got really heartbreaking again trying to raise the money for it because nobody cared. Nobody was interested. It took Michelle McNamara passing away for people to be really interested.
Right.
Because she was working on the book. And then when she passed away, and then Patton Oswalt started taking to websites saying, you know, we're going to try and finish the book. That is when the tide started turning. And then the FBI came out and said, hey, you know, we're going to put up a reward to find this guy. So now it's really back in the public consciousness when it hasn't been since. We'll see, because a long time in the 70s. And then the early 80s and the mid 80s, they didn't realize it was all the same guy because he was up and down the state. But it wasn't until late 90s, early 2000s that they started doing the DNA of everything and realized it was all one person.
Yeah, they started connecting the dots.
Yeah, so if they all knew it was the same person for 10 years, I think the guy probably would have been caught. But because they thought it was just random individual cases everywhere, they didn't know. But now they know. And they still haven't found anything yet. So
yeah.
But anyway,
there's hope for your project. There's hope that maybe at some point they will, even though he might be dead or whatsoever, they should at least
find out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, my film is not about him, even though some of the crimes are depicted. It's about her.
Yeah, that's good.
But that's what I love. I love the idea of taking the story away from the serial killer, making it more about the victim.
Yeah, she's the hero. He's the loser.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah,
get it.
and in a way, she may have been killed, but she was also the last one, right? So in a way, even though she died, she also kind of won, because there is like a thing of like, she did put up such a fight that maybe he thought twice about ever doing it again.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's like, it's bittersweet. She died, but she stopped them maybe from hurting someone else.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the family appreciates the attention, if anything else. I mean, I'm sure they feel super powerless ever since. So, you know, I think,
Well, for a long time, they thought it was maybe somebody they knew who did this. And then when the DNA got matched up with all these other crimes, they realized that she was another victim of this serial killer.
Yeah.
And so that at least kind of relieved them a little bit from thinking it was, you know, the uncle down
Her
the street
uncle.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Well, on a lighter note, I'd like to know, what do you think about cherry pie? Do you think it's actually that good, or is this like, if you went into R&R and you could choose from any kind of pie, what pie would you want?
I don't know. I'm not really big into cherry pie, actually.
Yeah, I thought so. I've never tried it, but it seems like it's sour.
Yeah, I don't know.
But beautiful. It looks
I don't
beautiful.
know. I'd want like a chocolate pudding pie. I don't know if Norma has one of those, or if I have to like contract one of those franchise restaurants, but I'd like to try one of those.
Or like a mud cake.
Yeah, something.
Mud cakes are good.
But it's funny because I've never been into coffee and I'm not into pie, so you know.
You don't like coffee?
No, I mean I like mochas, ice mochas and stuff, but I'm not. I'm not black as midnight on a moonless night.
As midnight.
No.
Well, it's okay. We'll forgive you for it.
But those are David Lynch obsessions that are brought in there. I mean, the fact that he went to Bob's Big Boy for 15 years and had a milkshake every day at 2:30. I mean, that's. Although Jennifer Lynch just posted this adorable picture the other day of her and her dad sitting in a booth at Bob's Big Boy having a milkshake together, and I thought it was adorable.
I missed that. Yeah. I'll look it
up.
Did
you have Bob's Big Boy where you are?
Nope.
No.
No. Well, not as far as I know. Maybe somewhere else in Canada.
It was a very cool little like Denny's type of restaurant, because when you went in, if you were a kid, they gave you a free comic book / coloring book.
Whoa.
And a box of crayons. So while you were there, you could, read the book and color and stuff like that. And that was very cool.
I know.
No, good. Sorry, I was just saying that, but I remember Bob's Big Boy from going there a few times. But I really remember because when I was a little kid, my mom and I got in a car accident. Somebody came down the road with no brakes and slammed into another car, and that car then hit us. And our car caught on fire. Jeez. And so my mom, the nearest place was Bob's Big Boy. And so she ran me over there as like a 5-year-old to get away from the fire. And my mom had to deal with all the insurance stuff. And so I sat in Bob's Big Boy coloring and reading comics, and they just gave me like free food and milkshakes while I waited for my mom. Yay. And I just thought that was very kind of them. They didn't charge my mom for anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
So just imagine being a little kid sitting in a booth with just like all these people bringing food and milkshakes to you, and comic books, and it was.
Were you aware? Were you aware that there was a fire, or were you just thinking?
I just remember the car accident. So
yeah,
I mean, we were fine, but it just was like, well, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
I know,
especially the fire thing.
Yeah.
Huh? A life of adventure.
No, but so when I hear that David Lynch went to Bob's Big Boy, it kind of brings back my own memories of that place too. So
of course. For some reason, when you were telling that story, I kept imagining that happening at Judy's, like the restaurant coming at Judy's. It was different. Can you imagine, like, you're coloring your book and then you see like Agent Cooper dropping 3 guns in the deep fryer? That was a bit traumatic. And then it's like there's a fire starting because it's the most idiotic idea anybody could have ever. I'm still not over it. Honestly, that's one of the biggest. I'm just going back to Twin Peaks now, but it's one of the deepest mysteries from season 3. Why would Dale Cooper, even Dougie wouldn't have done this? So I don't understand what they're trying to tell us about Dale Cooper's psyche when he was doing this.
Well, remember, he's kind of in an alternate world right now.
Yeah, but does it mean he's got to have an alternate intelligence, which is being dumb. Like, I don't understand. But he's not that dumb either. I don't know. I'm confused, especially that somebody asked David Lynch, like, oh, so there are like 4 Coopers, and he was like, are you sure? Watch again. So the way I took it was
he's not Richard. I mean,
no, and he says I'm Dale
himself,
Cooper from the FBI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't know. I mean, what do you classify as a character? You have Cooper, you have Mr. C, you have Dougie, and then you have Cooper as Dougie, because he's not Dougie.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have Cooper in the Red Room as well, because he's acting different. Like, he's always slower than the real Dale. He's just like in this dream world, or
yeah. But don't forget this, right?
Yeah, with the curtains.
Yeah, but do you know? Remember in the towards the end of season 2, there's that moment where everybody's hands shaking,
Yeah.
Right? So it's almost like he was getting the call.
Huh? Possibly. If Annie Blackburn had never showed up.
You mean the Tulpa Annie Blackburn that everyone likes to tell me?
Right. No, the real 100% genuine person.
Yes.
Annie Blackburn, who has her own particular story of, being an âme solitaire, like a solitary soul, who was a super deep soul in a way, who would, like, I don't know, just get along with Dale Cooper with those, kind of darker ideas. But at the same time, she's cool enough to be like, hey, I'll try to become Miss Twin Peaks, so she's not like that much of a hermit or anything.
I don't know. To me, I always felt one of the most touching moments of their romance and the final 6 episodes of the show was when they're on the little rowboat, and she's kind of they got that beautiful Badalamentium music, and he takes her by the hand and he just starts stroking like her suicide wound.
Yeah,
like that's just a wonderful touch.
I know.
And then the camera pans up to her, and Heather Graham just looks so beautiful with that hair on just one side of her face because the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
And then to go from that moment, and they kiss, and then it dissolves, and then it dissolves again, and they're getting off the boat, and then Wyndham Earle's there with the binoculars.
Yeah.
And that's Lynch had nothing to do with that episode, I guess. Well, wait, no, he's in that episode actually, but he didn't direct that episode. But that is the David Lynch way. It's beauty and horror side by side.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny because people like to make fun of Annie Blackburn, but
why?
I don't know, but they do. And I understand, because if you look at it from on paper, she's a suicidal ex-nun, right? I mean, it is kind of ridiculous.
It is.
But the thing is, though, is they completely downplay it, because Norma says she left the convent. She tried to kill herself. But that's all backstory before she even walks in that Double R Diner door.
Yeah.
Who she is in Twin Peaks is not. I don't ever see her as a suicidal ex-nun in the series.
No, she just had a rough patch and she's reborn from it.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I think she was an excuse for us to discover Dale's darker side as well, or his like hurt past. I mean, that was a great way to expose that, but at the same time they have this in common, so they fall in love together. I think it's like, I don't know, it's really tender.
Cooper only talks about Caroline when his and other people's lives are in jeopardy. If Wyndham Earle doesn't come to town, he's not going to open up to Harry about Caroline.
Yeah.
He only opens up about Caroline because Wyndham Earle's coming to town and causing all this trouble.
Oh, it's ex-wife. Yeah.
Right. And Annie brings out, like you said, she brings out this other, because he's going to communicate with Annie in a different way than he is going to be with someone else.
Yeah, like Audrey.
Right. Because Audrey and Cooper could never have that conversation on the boat.
Yeah,
on that
she could
rowboat.
be a good fling for him. You know, I think he was. I mean, she's obviously this wonderful, like amazing girl, super beautiful, super smart, and adventurous a little
But she
bit.
doesn't have the empathy that Annie Blackburn has,
Yeah, yeah,
because she'd already been through enough. Whereas with Audrey, yeah, she was a spoiled little rich girl. Yeah, she did the heroin overdose, but I don't think that she was ready to, or had the life experience yet to be able to understand what Cooper's talking about.
Mhm.
And think about it from Cooper's point of view. I mean, he only knows Annie for a few days, so he hasn't quite come out with the story yet that, oh, by the way, I had an affair with my partner's wife and now he wants to kill me. But you know that that guilt is over him the entire final 2 episodes. That, why do you think he goes into the red room to go get Annie?
Yeah,
It's his guilt that does it.
yeah, and then there's this kind of parallel between Annie and Caroline, and I think that's why people suspect that she's a tulpa, even though she's not. But I think it's him projecting, like in his guilt is linked between Annie and Caroline. He's just associating them together in a way. He's afraid that she'll have to die because of him, like Caroline had.
And they are involved because Caroline was Wyndham Earl's wife and victim, and Annie is kidnapped by Wyndham Earl and going to be another potential victim.
Yeah.
Right. And both women were involved with Dale. So they are interchangeable in the red room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, though, if he was dancing with Annie at the Roadhouse, and then he looked at her and she was Caroline, then I would say, okay, Dale's got some issues here.
Yeah.
The red room playing with it. You know what I mean? It was playing with his past. Another thing that Annie does that no other character is able to do with Dale Cooper. Dale Cooper's fascinated by the town of Twin Peaks. He loves the idiosyncratic details of Twin Peaks. Annie Blackburn, and this is another reason why Cooper kind of fails a little bit in at the end of season 2. She takes his eyes off the prize and makes his eyes on her. Because he's not able to see the full picture, because he's a little clouded by the fact that he's focusing on Annie. Like, for instance, they're sitting there, they're doing the dance thing at the the Roadhouse. And the old mayor gets up there. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Right. And if he was with Harry, he'd be like, Harry, this town never ceases to amaze me.
Right.
But with Annie, he goes, I'm getting a little tired of these introductions. Like, he wants the town to kind of go away. He wants to be in that spotlight with Annie Blackburn. And then he gets the spotlight when he says, and you're the queen. That's when the spotlight hits them. And that's when the giant's like, no.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right. So
what a mistake. In a way, he screwed up everything.
Right. And his judgment cost Caroline's life, and his judgment cost Annie Blackburn to be taken to the red room. So yes, Dale Cooper would have gone into that red room for anybody, but you add on to the fact that it's someone he cares about, and the fact that he needs to redeem himself for the past that he created, that guilt, that's what gives him the charge to go face, the heart of darkness inside.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And so when people just throw Annie Blackburn under the bus, I'm always like, there's a lot more to it, guys. Instead of just, it's not just, they couldn't do the Audrey Horne relationship, so we'll just throw Annie Blackburn in there. Like, yeah, that may have been the reason, but that's not how it's presented to us. Like, they found a way in to make that completely make sense.
Yeah.
And obviously Lynch liked it enough that he put Annie Blackburn in Laura Palmer's bed and made her the reason why they know that there's something off.
Do you think her family name Blackburn has got anything to do with the Black Lodge? I heard that theory.
Sure. I think it's just kind of a coincidence thing. Mm-hmm. It's a theme.
Just like Carrie Page.
Right. I mean, but it's like, where does Blackburn come from? Is that Norma's mother's maiden name? Is that
Yeah.
Is that the previous dad before Ernie Niles shows up? You know, because she is considerably younger than Norma.
Yeah.
But
Seriously.
that's not out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, there's a lot of people who are in their mid-20s and their parents have like a new kid or something like that. Like,
yeah.
So it is possible.
You know, we're not sure what will happen with season 4. We are hopeful and we like to believe, but in your head, what's the best scenario you're wishing for? What if like anything was possible? What do you ask the like God, which is David Lynch, basically? What's your ideal scenario for what's next?
I mean, I know what I would want to see.
That's what I'm asking. What do you want to see? Not what's gonna happen, like not your, fortune.
Well, what I want to see,
telling.
they'll never do. They'll never.
That's okay. That's what I'm asking. At least it will happen now in our heads.
No, because I might make it as my fan film, so I don't.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. So basically, what you're saying is that if after the final dossier, nothing happens, it's just like, yeah, well, goodbye, Twin Peaks.
Yeah, well, that's not what I'm not convinced that's happening, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if there was like no future for Twin Peaks whatsoever, would you grab the occasion to make your own fan film or
why not?
whatever
I mean, yeah, and I don't see anything wrong with that because there's Twin Peaks fan films being made every year for the festivals and things like that. Obviously, you're not going to make it and be able to put it at the Cannes Film Festival and make a lot of money off. You can't make any money off it. It's a fan film, but yeah, I would love to kind of throw my hat in the ring there and do something with it because it's a very personal story to me, and I found a way into the story that probably will never be explored by anybody. So that's the best ones to do.
And let's, sometimes we talk about, what if the project was to go on, but like without Lynch or just a bit of involvement, but not that much. In a way, would you be like, hi, I'll direct a couple of those episodes? Like, would you do something like this? Would you dare
if I
do
had
that?
the agent to do so, sure, but I don't have the agent or the actual clout in the film community to be able to have that kind of sway.
Well, if that miracle happened though, like is there anything
I will say this though. Fire Walk with Me was written by Lynch and Bob Engels, right? I've always thought to myself, even when I was a young kid, I wonder what Fire Walk with Me would have been like if it had been Lynch and me writing it.
Nice.
Because it would have been very different.
Of course.
And not saying it would have been better, but it would have been different.
I know. But yeah, of course, it would be like any two heads mixed together gives like another alchemy than like X person with X person. So that's a
I like, even if it never got made, I would love to write something with David Lynch.
Yeah.
Just so I could see
his process.
Because I understand his thought process. I really do. But I would like to be able to kind of counter him sometimes and be like, I get like this is great. We'll do this. This is how we're going to tie it in like this. And, he'll probably be like, hey, I don't care as long as I get that image on screen. I don't care how you tie it in together. But it would be great to kind of do the Frost thing and kind of try to keep up with Lynch's imagination and try to make some sort of logical narrative sense with it.
Yeah.
So he's still able to do what he wants to do artistically, but you're not leaving everybody in the dust at the same time either.
Well, what if like one day you're just walking outside and there's this machine, like a magician, like in the movie Big, and you put like a quarter in it and then you make a wish.
I got Zoltar down the street from me, actually.
No way. Oh my God, these things are real.
Yeah.
We don't have them in my area. Wow. Okay. I'm jealous.
I'll take a picture for you.
Please do. And also, like, you should make, like, of course, you're going to make a wish because that's how they make their money. But if you make the wish to, like, wake up in David Lynch's shoes tomorrow. And
so I'd be married to Emily Stofield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope she's friendlier than her character in season 3, who was just, like, looking suspiciously at that girl who says her aunt is, what's her name? The girl that Audrey hates. Whatever. I'm getting lost here. But if you woke up in his shoes, so you have the keys, right? You have the keys to like all his projects for
Sure.
a short period of time until you wake up in your own bed. Um, would you try to get some more answers like for the fans, or is there any way that you would be like, well, I'm going to cover a couple of those like left open questions and provide the fans with a few more answers? Would you be interested in solving a few mysteries, or would that be like, would you be a traitor for answering those questions?
Throw out a mystery to me, because honestly,
How's Annie? How's Audrey? So many
well,
mysteries.
like I said on yesterday's podcast on my channel, everybody has to come to their own conclusions, obviously, because there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
But for me, I've already kind of made peace with it all now after yesterday's idea that I saw. Which, for those of you who don't know,
yeah, tell us about this.
In part 8, you see the giant raise up and the light comes out and the golden orb of Laura comes out and then is sent to Earth and is going towards North America. And when you're watching it in part 8, it's moving west. And so, of course, you're thinking Twin Peaks and, okay, the giant birthed Laura Palmer and out here she goes. But if you watch it carefully, as the orb is moving across the United States and Senorita Dido's watching it, it fades out. But when it fades out is right when the orb touches Odessa, Texas. So in a way, since even though it's 1945 on Earth, it's not 1945 where the giant is. And so Laura coming out of his head and being sent there is probably in part 2 while she's raised in the air and then flown out of the Black Lodge. So in a way, like I was saying yesterday, Cooper says, what year is this at the end? And my answer is exactly, because everyone keeps saying, is it past? Is it future? And my idea is there is no past. There is no future anymore. It's all one time. It's all now. It's all like present. It is. And that's a very David Lynchian, way of looking at things where, it's there's no backstory. There's no forward story. It's all just one collective thing. And if Cooper is going to go back in time and try to stop Laura from being killed, that's going to shift the time-space continuum. So throughout the whole series, there's all the editing is all, haphazard in terms of where people are, and scenes take place before other scenes or after scenes that like 4 episodes later when they should have been like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
And I think that's the idea, is that Cooper's already gone back in time and saved Laura and all that. And so the whole, what we're seeing is just one reality at this point. And so I don't know, to me, it just made everything make sense. Like if Cooper never went back in time to, or if he never went, no, I'm sorry, if he didn't have to go to Twin Peaks to solve Laura's murder, then that means that his doppelganger never would have come out. That means Audrey never would have had what happened to her. So in a way, even though they don't show it to us, Audrey's fine at the end of the series.
True. But then, for myself, what I'd like to know is what's up with Jerry's foot. That I would like to know. I mean, I can make up my own thing. It can be like, I don't know, maybe it's like the evolution of the arm's cousin, who's the evolution of the foot. Or, I mean, of course, I very much enjoy that you make what you want out of this. But part of me is still super curious what's in David Lynch's mind. How did he see it? And maybe it's just me being like a voyeur of his own imagination and trying to figure out like where this all originated from.
How he sees it is, David, let's go out into the woods. Why don't you look at your foot? All right, great. It was I bet you it was just a bunch of collective funny little outtake scenes they shot, and they just weaved them in. Well,
it worked because I'm hooked on those moments,
Well, there you go. And that's why they're left in the show. But I mean it certainly did not provide any like plot points.
Yeah.
The only plot point it had was when he was like, he saw Richard die on the stone. He didn't even realize that was his nephew.
Oh man, that's true. I didn't actually think about their family relationship. when it
And then, and,
happened.
and then they found him naked a couple states later, or further down. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, his foot is working fine if he can walk that
Well,
far.
yeah. I mean, how many times did we see him run across, the field? You know.
Oh man, that's brilliant. You gotta love Jerry.
Yeah, I just don't like his beard. I wish they. I
Oh,
wish I wish he didn't have the beard, but
I wish he had a shower for sure, like for
yeah,
his own sake. But
right, because he probably doesn't smell too good right now.
yeah, well, I'm glad there's no like scratch and sniff things on
I'm.
our
Hey,
TVs.
listen. I love David Patrick Kelly, but I'm glad Lynch didn't give us that nude shot. Like at least we didn't see him run out of the woods naked or
Yeah.
something.
Oh man, do you know Mark Frost when we see him walking his dog in that scene? Is that Mark Frost's real dog, or is that like that's the kind of question I ask myself in
It
life.
probably is.
It's so cute. I like black and white animals, like cows. I can't name any. Oh, panda bears and my cat. That's all I can name.
And you like Fred Savage's outfit back there because that's black and white.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, it's kind of like David Lynch would wear that.
Oh, he would because well he doesn't wear
His collar.
any yeah, he always has to button the collar, no tie, no ain't nothing, just has to
I've seen
button.
him wearing ties though. I
Really?
think as long as it's not like open here and it doesn't touch here. I get it though. I don't like being
And
touched here.
David Lynch does not like cooking in the home.
No?
No, I remember him telling Jay Leno about that. He said yeah, he doesn't like cooking in the home because he says a film develops on the
Oh
walls.
yeah.
Right.
So quinoa is fine then. Not that much.
And Jay Leno asked him, have you ever cooked a meal? And he says, David Lynch says, I've cooked 3 meals in my lifetime.
Jesus.
And Jay Leno goes, would you just cook them all in one day, get out of the way, or what?
So David Lynch is like a filmmaker who doesn't like films on the walls. That's interesting.
I guess.
He likes them on the screen.
But does that mean Emily has to like go out and get food every day and bring it home?
Yeah, because no matter who, even if they had a professional chef, like there would still be a film on the wall.
No, because he said he doesn't allow cooking in the home.
Yeah, exactly. That's weird. So did they just like rent a house for the quinoa video? It was his home, right?
I don't know. Well, he does have 2 houses side by side because we see that in Lost Highway. Those are his houses.
Oh.
So I wonder if cooking happens in one house and they bring it over,
Oh my God.
or whether they just have takeout every day. I don't know.
Honestly, because I did hear.
Well, we do see him cook the quinoa, right? So obviously,
exactly.
yeah. So maybe maybe this new woman in his life has changed his outlook on things. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe they just like invested on a fan, like a kitchen fan, so that it's better. But the other day I was making pasta and I had a thought about the film of food like building up in my kitchen. I don't know. I shouldn't think about this.
It's depressing.
It is depressing, but
yeah. Every day
every
day I make a list of things I need to do in the day.
Yeah.
And I try to get as many as possible, but there's always like carryovers until the next day, and then that makes it on the list, But yeah, that's one thing I'll recommend is if you have a lot of things you need to get done, make a list and cross it out, because otherwise you'll get overwhelmed by I have to do this, I have to do this. But if you see it on a list and you see things being crossed out, you'll be more motivated.
I love it. You're like organization.
Oh, no. Listen,
right now.
Listen, I know we talk Twin Peaks and that type of thing, but we can talk about other silly things as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes I've seen that show Hoarders.
Yeah. Oh God.
And,
yeah.
And even though that show scares me half to death, and I clean my house from top to bottom after I watch an episode, I do kind of secretly wish, like, wouldn't that be a fun thing to do on a Saturday? Just go over to someone's house and just throw out all of their stuff. And clean and reorganize them and clean up the whole place. And I don't know, to me that sounds like really fun to like.
But they would die though. It's like they've been collecting this stuff because it built up a void inside of them.
Yeah, I mean the thing about hoarders is that they just go over and they just clean it all up. They don't cure the disease.
Right?
Okay. You know what I mean? Because in the next week it's going to be messy again.
Yeah.
Because they haven't. It's like an alcoholic, right? I mean. Yeah. Alcoholics don't stop drinking because other people tell them to stop drinking. They stop because something happens in their life that forces them to make that decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like correcting the behavior.
Correct. Yeah. So, but I mean, it still would be fun to go over to someone's house and just completely throw out everything they would have.
True. How would you feel if somebody like got into your collection of Blu-rays and DVDs behind you, and it was just like, according to my values, you're a hoarder. Let's just get rid of that stuff, and then it's on the street.
Oh no, I'm not a hoarder, because you can actually see the floor.
I know you're not. I know. But like, maybe it's relative. Maybe for some people, you know, people who have like a house with nothing, there's like a vase there, a table, and a frame, and that's all. Like, that's their universe.
I'll tell you something really funny.
Yeah.
So obviously you see a lot of movies and stuff behind me, but I used to have my movies out in the living room and not in my office. And I can tell if something's been touched.
Ooh.
Like, it's really funny. Like I've had like friends come over or whatever, and I don't know, like my family would be like, oh, you know, oh yeah, you can borrow that movie or something like that. And I'll come into the house and be like, there's something missing.
Yeah.
And
are you a little bit OCD?
I've never been diagnosed, but I'm very much like I can let things go, but at the same time, things probably should be done a certain way in order to make sure that's done correctly.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But I'm not like that with like other people. I'm not like, well, you need to do it this way and this way, or else I can't function in society. But for me, I'm just like, you know what? If I take care of this and then I do this, then that will make it easier to do this. And you know.
Yeah, you're organized. That's
I try to be.
Yeah, I can tell. You've achieved it. Well done.
No, I fail every day. Trust me, because there's a lot of things on my list that I never get to. But
make smaller lists.
No.
More realistic.
No, but it's, I don't know. It believe it or not, like, okay, organization tip that I never learned until I was 30. But it totally works. If you have something you need to take with you the next day for whatever reason, when you get home that afternoon, that evening, just put it by the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah, kind of like if you have a job interview, I mean, you have to prepare your little outfit the night before, because if you do that the same morning, your interview is not going to go as well.
Well, like,
that's a girl thing.
How many times have you gone someplace and you're like, oh my goodness, I completely forgot to bring that thing that I told myself I was going to. Just put it by the door. So when you go to the door, it's right there.
True.
And you know, for a long time, I remember like going to school, I'd always, oh, I forgot my book. But it's true. It's like, if you just put like, you know, your history book by the front door, you'll never forget it.
It's true. But then you have, you know, other people in the house have to collaborate with you as well. Can you imagine you would place it by the door and then somebody's like, oh, what's that doing? So they remove it, and then you forget the next morning that it had to be there. Then your life is basically over for one day.
Mm-hmm. Then you find yourself just sitting on the couch watching YouTube videos and Project Runway all day. So
who would do that? I don't watch Project Runway though. Is it really that good? I know you like it because it's not like very complicated.
I don't know. I like watching
creative.
I like watching creative people doing creative things, and I like challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Top Chef, but with clothing.
Yeah, it's like they have one day to make an outfit that fits this model perfectly, and it has to be in, you know, they have to use something as inspiration. Like they'll say, you need to go down to the New York Museum and use the stone wall as your inspiration, and now you have $100 and you have fabric, and the winning person is going to be, you know, the clothes are going to be sold by JCPenney's. You have one day, go. And then on top of that, they give them like a plus size model that they're used to working with petite models.
Right. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they try to just screw with your head.
Do you have like guilty pleasures? Like, because that one, I mean, it's not light, but it's not like, or it's not like you're telling me that you've been watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey for like the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So do you have anything like that?
Well, most of those shows are already over with, but for a long time, I really liked Gossip Girl, and I really liked The Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Because they were well written, they were well acted, but it was just complete like trivial nonsense. But I liked it. I don't know. There is talent in that stuff as well. Not
Yeah.
everything has to be completely thought-provoking. You'd go insane if everything was.
Yeah. Do you well, I know you like horror movies and stuff. Why?
You look at me like I'm nuts.
No, of course you're not. But
Because I remember you contacted me once and you're like, I can't believe you like these horror movie things.
me?
Yeah, you.
Did I say that?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I guess you don't like that kind of stuff. So
I
no,
don't remember. I don't
I like
remember.
I honestly, I like all kinds of movies, but I love the idea of horror films more than a lot of horror films. Like I won't watch a lot of horror. I mean, like I'll watch like the ones I know that are going to be good or the ones I'm interested in, but I don't just
Right.
I don't just watch Ginger Dead Man 3 Saturday Night Cleaver, for fun. But no, I used to really I like the idea of horror stories. And if I ever like wrote like a novel or a couple books or whatever, they would be in that vein, because in order for a horror story to work, you need to know the characters well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you get to know the characters well? Well, you have comedy, you have drama, you have soap opera, you have romance, so you can utilize all the storytelling techniques,
Yeah, yeah.
and then have this extra perk of like offing them off, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of get the best of everything. Now, the
True.
problem with horror films, for the most part, is they begin the boo scares and jump scares right at the start. So
Yeah.
you don't really get the chance to get to know a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that do it right, like, Rosemary's Baby,
Yeah.
even David Lynch's stuff. I know a lot of people don't think he's a horror filmmaker, but to me, he's like the greatest horror filmmaker, because his stuff is scary as heck.
Yeah.
And yet, you completely believe in Jeffrey and Sandy in Blue Velvet.
Yeah, or that little guy in Lost Highway. I don't remember his name, but the guy who was in his house and he's talking to him.
Right.
It freaks me out.
No, completely. Or look at Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive. I mean, that is how you get to know a character and then have the horror spring on her later on in the film.
Yeah.
Right. And that to me is like, that's how you do it right.
Yeah, because I think personally, as I grow older, like the whole gruesome thing doesn't interest me that much. I mean, as a kid, I think I was 6 years old and I loved watching Poltergeist, and I kind of looked a little bit like the girl, so I felt like it was my story, like, and it would freak myself out. Like I would be like, oh, should I worry about the closet and the television?
It's funny you mentioned that, Annie.
Yeah.
Because on my channel on Wednesday, I'm actually doing a special Poltergeist video.
No way! Oh my god!
Yeah, that's why we're not going to be doing the entertainment news video
That's
this
your
Wednesday.
fun project.
Well, because it's gonna be fun. Trust me, it's gonna be very interesting, to say the least. I got somebody that is going to be on there with me, who's going to shed a lot of light about a lot of stuff.
Whoa.
And so this is going to be super cool. And we're not going to have MGM telling us we can't say this stuff. So
yeah, it's not trending as much, so there's no secrecy around.
No, but the MGM won't even do a special edition DVD about that movie, about the making of, because nobody will talk about it, because they're all afraid to say certain things because of the union rules.
Yeah.
But we're gonna bust this door wide open.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. Thank you for telling me. I'm booked on Wednesday.
I don't know what time yet. Probably around 6 o'clock Pacific time, so probably 9 o'clock your time. But
yeah, just don't do it when it's 1 o'clock here, because I mean, as you know, I tried to go to bed early for my new job, and a lot of times last week and the one before, I found myself to be awake almost like at 1 a.m. watching your podcast, and then like being dead at work. So,
but you get so jazzed though, because I get these messages from you saying, "Oh my God, these conversations are getting me so excited."
Yeah, my heart is beating. When you came out with your theory yesterday, I was just like, this whole world opened up, and everybody in the chat was just like, Cameron, my brain is melting now, and you just like, it gets me going. That's why I can't sleep after that. I get like all those ideas, and I have to deconstruct previous ideas, and my love for the subject just grows even more. So yeah, please, if it's late at night, just like give me a little herbal tea, for like a YouTube herbal tea. Be boring. Please be boring. Be more boring, Cameron, so I can sleep better.
I'll just be like Philip Jeffries and pour you some tea.
Oh man, Philip Jeffries. I honestly I've been thinking about this. Like, Siri on your phone. I
Mm.
wish Philip Jeffries was Google Earth or Siri, and you'd be like, "Hello, Philip," and then he'd be like, "Rrr," with his voice from the kettle. Like, I don't know. I want to have a kettle that also is a GPS. Is that too much to ask? Please make it happen. That kind of looks like David Bowie, but it's not David Bowie. Like, I'd very much like to have that for Christmas. So it's out there, guys. Surprise me. Oh man. Okay, so Poltergeist. Everybody everybody's gonna watch that now.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a video of mine, hit 1,000 views. That's not Twin Peaks. That'd be
I'm
nice.
sure it will happen. You gathered people together with Twin Peaks, so a lot of them are gonna remain and evolve with you, and they know that you're still like you're always gonna be close to the Twin Peaks universe. As soon as you can make a parallel between Twin Peaks, you will, of course. So
Well, no, I
I'm
mean
not
the
worried.
Twin Peaks videos aren't stopping.
Of
It's
course not. You just add
but
on.
you're right. But there's just really nothing to talk about for 4 episodes a week anymore. So they're gonna maybe not be quite as often, but they'll still be
Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
mean, I was doing it for 5 years even before the show was happening. So
Well, and that's very impressive to me, honestly. Like, did you feel lonely for those 5 years when you're basically the only one on YouTube having those conversations? Like,
no, because I would do them like Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. And be done by 12, and so I don't know. It was just something to do on a Saturday morning. It was fun.
yeah, better than watching Bugs Bunny, I guess.
They don't show Bugs Bunny here anymore. There's no
Really?
no there's no
Like
Saturday.
Saturday cartoons?
Nope, they don't. That doesn't exist anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
God. Oh,
yeah.
and maybe it doesn't here either. I don't have a TV, so I'm just like guessing it's the same thing as what it was 25 years ago. But I should probably update myself. Sometimes I think we're still in like 2007. I'm like, oh no, we're 10 years later. True. Okay, it happens.
So what else you want to know about me?
What's your favorite color?
Red.
Oh, suspicious.
It's the color of love and death. So
Yeah, and blood
well,
and
you're
and
taking
Red
it
the
to
Magician.
you're taking it to the next level, but no, it's the color of an extreme, so of both sides. So
Yeah, it is vivid and intense. Well, that's good. I have a wall. I didn't paint it. Like as you can see, I should probably like put another coat of paint, but I'm way too lazy to care about those things for now. So stay
I know
tuned.
that. Well, the white dots on your wall look like constellations. So
Right? Yeah, it is my cosmos.
yeah.
Um, you know what? I have a lot of silly questions. Like, what's
Go
your
ahead.
favorite food? What's your favorite meal?
Oh my goodness. I like pizza, but I also love like if you just want to just make me happy, I could have a turkey cheese sandwich like every day.
Nice. Good choice. Cheese is important, and carbs as well. If you go to the movie theater and there's like this funny guy laughing out loud and commenting, how do you
Mm.
react?
I don't go back to the movies for a while.
Really? You're traumatized? You want
I don't I
silencio?
don't I don't like noise. Like I mean like if it's a comedy,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
right? But I can't stand the cell phone. Ever since cell phones really became popular, I can't stand going to the movies anymore. I
Yeah.
can't stand the prices of movies. I mean, I used to run a movie theater for like 5-6 years. So I kind of have
You've
some
been running
insight.
everything. You're
I,
the
so,
manager of entertainment.
so, I mean, I have some insight on it. And so I know what a movie theater probably should kind of look and feel like. But it used to, back then, movies would take a year and a half to come out on video.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to see the movie in the theater.
Yeah.
But now they come out within 2 months of coming out in the theater. So what's the incentive of going? And now they want to do this day and date streaming thing where it's like a movie hits the theater and hits streaming the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, I'm never going to the movie theaters again.
Yeah.
Even though I love the movie theater experience. It's just that they've made it such a horrible experience. There's no incentive to really go.
Did you ever secretly bring your own fast food along with you into the movie theater, so to avoid purchasing for $20 of candy and popcorn?
Not fast food, but I've brought in food all the time.
Oh yeah, like vegetable.
Oh no, I don't bring anything that can smell. That will tip them off.
Yeah.
But you also have to think about, most movie theaters have 16, 17-year-olds in there working, and they're more interested about sneaking their friends in than catching you with walking in with some extra Raisinets. So
yeah, as long as you pick up after yourself and you don't leave it like on your seat, and so that they have to clean up everything. I think
I will say this as someone who used to run a theater. I'm not telling you to trash a movie theater, but it's okay to leave your trash.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because again, I'm not saying take your popcorn and throw it all over the place.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying if you leave your bucket on the floor, don't feel bad about that, because if there's nothing to clean up,
there's less work.
And then they'll start sending people home.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we contribute to the economy. That's nice.
If you are scheduled to work, I don't know, 2 to 8, but there's nothing really to clean, they might send you home at 5. And then that kid or that person doesn't earn their whole check. So if there's stuff to clean, then, then they'll keep them around. So, and that goes for anything too, even like fast food places too. I mean, it's like, don't feel bad if you leave dump your trash, but maybe leave your tray on the table, because it gives someone to come out and pick up the tray.
Whoa. Okay. I'll change my perspective on life and stop being so polite and helpful and litter as much as I can.
I want to be polite and helpful too, because that's just who I am. I like to leave a theater or something like that the way I came in.
Yeah, but it's still polite and helpful now that you've added this perspective that we're actually giving them work in a way. It's very polite, so I'll feel like I'm helping them by leaving my.
But don't be a jerk. Don't take the top of your nachos cheese and just flick it everywhere and stuff like that.
I'm not a jerk, but it's probably for people watching us right now. Yeah. Don't be jerks, guys. Don't leave your salsa all over the walls. It leaves a film on the wall.
Trust me, there's a lot more other things on that wall than just food film. So you don't ever want to go into a movie theater with a black light, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly. No, now I do. Now I want to find a black light and do it.
Do I mean, seriously, like I'm not trying to turn this into like some dirty podcast, but we've caught people having sex. We've caught people,
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they all think they can get away with it, but you can see a lot of things from a projection room, let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I've never done this, so I don't feel bad, but intriguing.
We don't want to turn this podcast into the Red Shoe Diaries. So.
No, it's true. So, who's your favorite actress out of your head like this?
I have no idea.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If you could meet a celebrity or like an actor, an artist, whatever.
That's not fair. There's too many.
Name a few. Your top 5.
Oh my. I don't know. Honestly,
whatever.
I've met a lot of the people. So that's great. I would like to meet Jennifer Jason Leigh.
I knew that's where I was trying to lead you. I knew like she would be out there, so I just wanted you to say how much you like how gross and sexy she is at the same time.
Well, yeah. The more crazy she is in a movie, the more like turned on I get, because it's just I don't know what that says about me, but I love her body of work. The fact that she's this innocent.
Her body of work.
No, I don't mean that in a sexual way. I'm talking about like you see her all innocent and like Fast Times at Richmond High, and then you see her, I don't know, in The Hitcher, and then Last Exit to Brooklyn, and Dolores Claiborne, and Hudsucker Proxy. She can do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. She got married in the early 2000s to, I think, Noah Baumbach, a filmmaker. And then she stopped working for many, many years. And then then he had an affair on her, and they got divorced. And now Jennifer Jason Leigh is kind of making a comeback in movies and TV shows and stuff. So I'm happy to see that. I hate when people like get married to another artist and then they stop being creative themselves. And then when they get divorced, because it always happens when creative people like stifle themselves.
Yeah, kind of like Tom Cruise and
Nicole Kidman.
yeah, but the one after the girl
Katie
from
Holmes.
yeah, Katie Holmes. Yeah, she just kind of disappeared and became
Well,
a
Nicole
housewife,
Kidman,
and then
Nicole Kidman's career was dead when she was married to Tom Cruise. And then, I mean, yeah, she did Far and Away, but for the most part, it was dead all through the 90s. They get divorced, and all of a sudden she comes out with Moulin Rouge and The Others and The Hours, and
yeah,
all of a sudden she's, top, grade A actress. So
yeah, we like when people just fulfill their lives, their careers again, and they don't just like become
well,
American.
and also, what does that say about you if you're gonna stop somebody you care about from achieving their dreams too?
It says you're a jerk who likes to have control over that other person and feel superior to them. That's what I would guess.
There you go. Well,
Yay.
yay for misogynists. Yay.
Right. Yay. Awesome. Listen, I don't actually hear you talk that much about music.
Mm,
Do you care for music? Would you ever like do a podcast about music?
no.
No? I thought
No.
so.
I
Why?
like me.
You're into images.
I'm sorry.
You're into images more,
Yeah.
or
Well,
like
no,
a
I mean,
soundtrack?
I
maybe?
love music, but I don't love like one particular type of music.
Oh yeah, but you don't have to be like the jazz YouTube channel. But like,
Right. Like
do you get excited about, oh, there's a new CD coming out,
no,
or
never.
no? Not as you wouldn't do like you do those videos when you receive a new Blu-ray and you open the box with the community. You wouldn't do that with a CD, except for the CD that you got at Target from Twin Peaks, right? The
Yeah.
soundtrack.
Well, that's just because I know there's an audience for it, but
Yeah.
no, I don't really buy music very much. Like I'll listen to a lot of music off YouTube and stuff. Like I'll go, oh, I remember that song that I liked when I was 10 years old. I'll find it and play it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of bounce around. It's kind of Cameron's infinite playlist,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you because a lot of the films that I've done, which are not released, but a lot of them that have copyright music, I mean, people are always amazed by the different styles of music because it never follows one particular thing. It's almost like each character has their own individual soundtrack. So like a particular music is around when that character is around, but when it's another character, another type of music's there. Because we all kind of have our own soundtrack whenever we're walking into a room.
That is so true. And it got me thinking, did you ever make a mixtape for somebody in your life? Not recently.
No, I'm trying to think. Mixtape, I can't remember. Probably, but only for like friends. I never did it for like, a girlfriend or something like that. But I used to do mixed VHS tapes.
I was thinking about this. I was like, did anybody ever do this? Because it would be super cool. I never thought about this before. So you did this?
I used to do it all the time. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'd get like the 8 or 10 hour tapes and just like put 4 or 5 movies on there. Yeah. Sometimes it'd be mixed, and sometimes I would be like, well, I know this person likes this particular actor or actress, and I'd put like 5 of their movies on there. So yes, I was very big into duplicating movies. but this is
avant-garde.
But this is before the internet, so people weren't concerned that much about people duping things like they are today.
Yeah, of course. Other than David Lynch, who's your favorite director? I don't know. I'm just assuming David Lynch is in your top, but who else do you care about?
I'm trying to think of filmmakers today that if they made anything, I would watch it. I don't think I have that anymore.
Yeah.
I used to, but I don't. I
like who?
I don't know. I mean, I used to like
Steven Spielberg and stuff like that.
No, I don't know. I mean, like I used to watch every Spike Lee movie. Now now it's like I pick and choose. Kenneth Branagh. I'm trying to think. I don't know. There's just some filmmakers. I guess Joss Whedon. I probably would watch anything he made. Still, even though I'm really mad the fact that he apparently cheated on his wife hundreds of times. That just came out in the media, and that really irritates me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like people that pretend to be something and then they're doing something else.
Oh yeah, phony people. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
if you're like, you know, someone who's notorious for cheating on someone all the time, okay, like I know that going in, but I don't want to think you're one thing and then find out you're the opposite.
Huh? You don't like betrayal?
Who does?
Exactly. I was thinking everybody likes betrayal.
I like betrayal in my movies and my TV
Yeah, in a
shows.
movie.
But
Yeah.
I mean, think about, I mean, the worst thing that I always, one of the worst things I think that anyone could ever feel is like to be 50 and 60 years old or something like that, and then realize that a huge part of your life was a lie.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's say you were with somebody for 30 years, and then when you're 60 years old, they die, and then you find out that
You had like this other family on the side.
yeah. I mean, you'd be like,
He was a murderer.
Yeah, or I don't know. I mean, it would be very interesting and very horrific to
For sure.
to realize that your entire life was a lie. I don't
For
know
sure,
how someone could live with themselves with that.
Mhm. Well, at least their life was a lie. Maybe you could, process that as like your own life, like the individual part of it was not as phony. It wasn't like a big lie. So at least it's not your whole life that was a lie. It was 15% maybe, but it's still super depressing.
Maybe more. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably why I'm single. I don't trust anyone. So I'm like, don't you lie.
No. Seriously, it's better to be safe than sorry.
That's true. And like, look at this guy. He's changed so much.
You're never gonna find anyone as wonderful as 10-year-old Fred Savage.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. Yeah. As a kid, I had a huge crush on him. I was a bit younger than him, and I mean, where did I see him again? I saw him in this TV show on Netflix. I'm really bad with name dropping stuff, but anyway, I mean, I enjoy seeing him, but Kevin is gone. Kevin from that series is just like, it happened once. You had to be there. And now it's over. And in like 5 years, like nobody will remember who this guy is. When you grow older and then the younger generation doesn't have any idea what references you're talking about.
Look at the Disney Channel and stuff, right? I mean, they go from Lizzie McGuire, and then she gets too old, so they bring in Hannah Montana, and then she gets too old, so they bring in somebody else. It's almost like it's just interchangeable. It
is, and then they get into like the more adult star system, like they become, or teenagers, like the Backstreet Boys,
but all the boys try to get into like action movies to prove they're now men, and all the women try to take on indie film stripper roles to try to shed their Disney persona. And it's like, there's got to be something in between, guys.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Because the last thing I want to see is like, 90s Disney princesses on a stripper pole in a movie.
Exactly.
Like, it just makes me feel weird and gross. So
it makes sense. I'm with you on that. Yeah,
but I don't want to see Fred Savage on a stripper pole either. Like, so.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we don't need that.
Like for instance, okay, Kyle MacLachlan is naked in Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
You see his dick and you see his butt in that movie.
Hello.
But but in Showgirls, they show his butt too. Yet I felt more skeevy seeing his butt in Showgirls than I did in Blue Velvet, because one is art and one is a trash masterpiece. But it's still like, it's almost like one makes sense because one's like a European art film, even though it's an American filmmaker.
Yeah.
And one is an American trash epic directed by a European. So, but I feel like, I don't know, like when you see Kyle MacLachlan walk into that pool and you see like, that shot of his butt walk into the pool, I'm like, I don't know. What is my Cooper doing? What is my Cooper doing?
Well, exactly. And there's also this history, like when he was a younger actor and that you discover him, you wouldn't think about like him in the Desperate Housewives, or, I guess those layers just add on, and it's more disturbing as time goes on to see somebody's naked butt.
Right. But it's nice to know that he hasn't shown his dick in any other movie though, except Blue Velvet. So
Exclusive to David Lynch.
It is. There's people who have done like freeze frames of it and posted those pictures on Google.
No, don't do that.
Oh, they did it years ago. They did it years ago, Annie. So
okay then, but still, I feel like I'm sure it's intimidating for Kyle to like stumble upon this on the internet. It's just like, come on, give the naked man some privacy.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Privacy. There's no such thing if you put it on the big screen.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being silly, but still, don't make a point of like zooming in on it. But you can if you like. I don't do what you like.
Zoomed in on it. They just took a freeze of that image. So
I don't know. I'm sure somebody zoomed on it. I'm sure.
So what do you think about my idea that the Showtime is gonna, one of the conditions of Lynch coming back to doing any Twin Peaks will be the Showtime will give him money to make his own original Showtime movie, Blue Velvet to bluer velvet.
Yeah. Just the title is a winner, so I'm all up for it. Seriously,
because you get Kyle coming back going, doesn't get any bluer.
Seriously, it's a genius idea. If like nobody is grabbing the idea and making it happen, what are they doing? Come on, let's do this.
Gotta say, Sean in the chat is very happy that you saw Kyle's what and said hello.
What else is there to say?
Yeah, and Annie looks at that and says, "There's my Mr. Jackpots."
No, that never happened.
Oh, okay.
No,
I made that up. That was satirical. My point.
I know. It's okay. It's funny. It is funny. But yeah, no, I don't care so much for Kyle's nakedness. Honestly, unless
he's too innocent. He's too innocent.
But if he was, performing the character, embodying the character of Dale Cooper, then that's different. Like.
Listen, I'm glad we didn't get. Aren't you glad we didn't get a naked Dale Cooper moment in this series?
Well, we got him like without a shirt at the doctor's office when he was still Dougie.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, there was no point for it. It was there.
Right, and I'm glad they didn't like just kind of shove it in there.
Why would they? But it's a good question. But yeah.
Well, you like to bring up the fact that I mentioned this a lot, but the fact that both sex scenes in that are the women on top, right?
Yeah.
And I'm almost wondering if Kyle isn't a little shy about if he was on top. I mean, obviously Dougie can't do it, but let's just say the motel one, right?
Yeah.
It could have been Richard in control.
I wish, man. I mean, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, you love the moment where he walks out of the hospital and he's like, Jenny, I'm gonna drive. Scoot over.
Yeah. I'm blushing just thinking about it. It was just super hot when he did it. I was just like, whoa, look at him. Like, he could drive me anywhere in that scene. He's just perfect. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm shy.
Well, Cheryl Lee didn't look like she was having much fun driving with him all night long back to Twin Peaks. So.
Yeah, it was a bit depressing. I would have been like, let's put on some music, dude, and, sing songs for...
That would have been great, huh? Like that would have made that whole drive sequence better if they just put on some like she's like, can I put on some music? And then Bobby Vinton's Blue Velvet comes on. Like that'd be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, someone should cut a version of that. That would be great. I bet you it syncs up.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea. Did you know? By the way, I saw that on the Showtime online boutique that now they have a cardboard cutout for Mr. C as well. I just saw that. I don't want to have Mr. C in my living room. I just want to have Dougie. But yeah, so and it's not even like the back. So
you know what I would do though? You know what I would do though if you had it at your house? I'd put a sign above his head that said, I don't need, I want.
Oh yeah. True. But you see, like, if we go back to the whole Dale driving the car, like, Mr. C is too much. He's too confident. He's too, like, I just take what I want. Like, that's not, I don't like Mr. C.
Just want you to know that
I'm not going to marry him.
The chat is excited every time you blush.
Yeah?
Yeah. They get very happy when they see you being vulnerable and
God, it's working now. It's doing it again. I'm sorry. I just have a thing for Dale Cooper. But I told you before, like for some reason I didn't care that much about Kyle MacLachlan before because I mainly discovered him in Desperate Housewife, and he was like awful. Not as an actor. I mean, like his character was.
No, Dale Cooper it's Kyle and the role merged together.
Yeah, exactly. Like no other actor
But
could provide that. You need
but
Kyle there.
but you know what though?
To channel this.
It's like, you know, he didn't want to do Fire Walk with Me, and then he kind of
Yeah, that's weird.
he gave Lynch some days to do it. But you
Mhm.
can totally feel it too when you watch that movie, because Kyle isn't charming, he isn't sexy in Fire Walk with Me. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the scenes he does are good, but there's none of that charm he brought from the series
Yeah.
into that. And yeah, it's like, yeah, the role is kind of written that way, but still charisma is charisma. And he kind of showed up as like, okay, I'm just going to hit my marks, say my lines, and go home.
But isn't that super strange? I remember yesterday I heard you talk about this with one of your guests, but you know, the fact that he was resistant, he was like, no, I want to get away, probably for his career, didn't want to stay Dale Cooper forever.
Right.
But now, I mean, he got super excited when the show was back, and now he's like surfing on this success, and he's basically telling people, I would play Dale Cooper or all the versions of Dale Cooper.
Yeah, but this happens all the time. Harrison Ford didn't want to be involved with Star Wars ever again. Then after a lot of years of not being in quality projects, it's like, oh, I can do Star Wars again. I can do Indiana Jones again. It brings back the attention back to them, raises their star level. Kyle MacLachlan was set to be a star, and then it didn't happen. And even though he did Sex and the City, Desperate Housewives, and Portlandia, a lot of his movie projects really didn't get attention, didn't go anywhere. So looking back on his career, Twin Peaks looks really good on his resume, and he has so many fans from that. So there comes a point later in life where you begin to embrace the thing that you kind of shunned when you were younger.
Yeah.
You know?
And he probably got worried then. He was like, oh, I don't want to be like restricted to one role. I want other producers to think of me in any role. Yeah.
And also, you have to think back too, he was dating Lara Flynn Boyle at the time, who didn't like season 2 of Twin Peaks especially. She really didn't like the fact that Audrey got a lot of attention. And so you know that she was probably whispering in his ear, like, don't go back. I'm not going back as Donna. Why are you going back?
You know, I don't like this woman anymore. From what I learned and how she was like acting out and being jealous and being possessive of like which character would get Dale's attention, I'm suffocating just reading about it. So
yeah,
I'm glad she's not. I mean, I would embrace it if she was back, but I'm not demanding that she's back. I get a really negative like idea of her now. She seems like she would be like a negative energy amongst the set. She needs to do TM meditation before she's allowed on set.
I did find it interesting though. They had that picture of Cheryl Lee and Lara Flynn Boyle in this new series.
Yeah.
But they obviously have done a masterful job with Photoshop if you look at Lucy and Andy's family picture. So I'm surprised they didn't like, you know, kind of shade out Lara Flynn Boyle's face or something, because otherwise they'd have to pay her for likeness. You know what I mean? But she wasn't in the credits. She wasn't in the credits for it. So I don't know. I mean, it was so far back, but still, you knew what picture it was.
Yeah.
And I think I have to say this again. I just love the fact that Sarah's Judy knocks over all the pictures but the Laura and Donna one, and that's the one that's staring at her.
Yeah.
While she's stabbing the homecoming picture. Yeah.
On the same episode that we name drop Donna suddenly after like a whole like 18-hour of silence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh.
So
interesting. Man, I'm super hungry. I'd have a lot of questions to ask you, like what's your favorite type of popcorn, like the pink one, the caramel one, or the buttery one?
I like the kettle corn. You know, it's like, you know, what they like serve like I guess it's like caramel kettle corn or whatever like that. Like
the caramel one.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh yeah, like the Cracker Jacks without the peanut.
Oh yeah, but I like the prize in the Cracker Jack. So
yeah, sometimes it's very disappointing though.
It's always disappointing.
Yeah, that's the thrill of it, right? It's like how disappointed am I going to be today?
But it doesn't matter. It's the fact that I got a special prize. So
yeah, oh yeah, it makes you feel special inside. I get it, but
what else you got?
Do you know how many Well, that's like super weird, but do you know how many versions of each surprise in a Cracker Jack box? Like what's your chances of getting that one? Do they make like 5,000 of them?
I don't think you know what you're getting.
No, you don't know, but how many other topaz are there of this special gift? Like how many lucky people got this exact one? Is it 35 or is it 3,500?
I have no idea.
If somebody works for Cracker Jack in the chat right now,
I'm sure they're watching your channel, Annie.
Yeah, why not? What else have they got to do on a fine Sunday morning, 1st of October? By the way, last night you said you thought it was Sunday in your video. It was Saturday.
No.
No.
I was recording it on Saturday, but it was for today.
Oh, you're very organized. I see.
But because now if I was recording on Skype, I would have just uploaded it today. But I was doing it as a live stream, so I was saying even though I'm recording it today, it's for tomorrow.
All right. Okay, you're good then. You're good. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything like any secret murder that you've committed that you'd like to come share with us, or any other confidence of the sort?
I don't know. I've already dropped a few things that
You did.
that I'd never talked about before. So
what can we wish you, like from now on? What can we wish for you to happen in your life?
I don't know. Continue the support. Follow. Join the Facebook page. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the channel Obnoxious Anonymous, both on YouTube and on VidMe.
Yes.
And continue to support the channel, because the more support we have, obviously it's gonna give me the confidence to take the channel into even more directions.
For sure.
And obviously, and also the more subscribers I have or Annie has, the more YouTube will kind of play ball with you if there's an issue. Because if you only have a few subscribers, they don't care about you. But if you have 1 million subscribers, they care about you.
Yeah. We're all back to politics, really, in a way.
Yeah.
Democracy of YouTube followers, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I never intend for YouTube to be like my career, like a lot of people on YouTube try to get, to make. But it would be great to do well to the point where I can move out of this little office thing and maybe set up like a real office. Mm-hmm. and where I could have I was looking at a lot of commercial estate in the last few days and just going, wouldn't that be great to have like a 4-room office where you could have like an editing suite over here and a filming suite over here. And, I think it'd just be super cool.
Have your own production company.
Yeah. And you can do it relatively cheap. I mean, you can get commercial estate for, seriously, I'm not kidding you, like $300, $400 a month, which is not much if you, for that kind of room.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be really, really cool. I'd love to have like my own little production office building, because people have asked me, I want to send you this. I want to send you this. And, I don't really want to give out my home address, and I'm not paying for a PO box just yet. But if I had like a business office, then people could mail stuff there, and that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So what do I want? I just want the continued love and support from everybody, and so we can just keep growing the channels.
I think it's in the pocket already. I'd be very surprised if that changed. So I think your wish will be granted. Just to make sure, go put like a quarter in what's his name? Zol, the guy from Big.
Now, I will say this. Sean in the chat is saying Cameron's new office is in the Palmer house. Now, this I don't know if you were there for that, but I've made it very clear that the next time that Laura Palmer house goes up for sale, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And if I get it, then my office will be Laura Palmer's bedroom, and I will have a cardboard cutout of Bob looking through the window.
I know, I heard that. That's perfect. Are you ever going to switch on the ceiling fan though? Because I think it needs to be switched off if you want to make sure that, you're not
I think that would be the beginning of the.
Obsessed.
I think that would be the beginning of the podcast. Would be every day, like me just going out there and flipping on the fan, like it's time to rock.
Yeah.
And I would always go to my car outside the window. I would climb down the thing that Laura does,
Yeah.
and then I'd run to my car with that black coat on and my blonde wig.
Yeah. And then Leland would look at you like possessed, going away from the
Yeah.
window. It's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Ray Wise. I get very upset whenever I think about him in this new series.
I know. But he's so happy to have been a part of it. I don't know if he minds that much. It would be a good question to ask him.
Oh no, he would be completely nice about it because it's Ray Wise. He's always nice about stuff, but he would never admit it. But come on, there's got to be a part of him that's thinking, God, couldn't they have figured out something? I mean, Tim Roth in an interview the other day said that he didn't have a lot of scenes, and so he asked David Lynch to write him some more scenes, and David Lynch did. I wish Ray Wise had gotten some more scenes.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, well.
But Annie, it is such a wonderful pleasure to talk with you and on this video. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your channel.
Thank you for kindly accepting to come over and, be my experiment. But not that kind of experiment.
Don't worry. I'm not going to bust through the glass and eat your face. So
No?
No.
Oh, that's cool. I wasn't ready for it. I mean, and it's not a box, it's just a thin screen, so that wouldn't work. But if at some point I build like a box with a screen, then you'll be welcome to do that and just come and commit this horrible crime. It's not gonna happen. We're just being silly. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure actually talking to you, and I'm really excited with our new project over at Obnoxious Anonymous.
Oh, we have a few projects coming up actually.
Yes, it's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we'll reveal more as we get closer to that. But
yes.
But I gotta just say, meeting you over the last month and a half or whatever, I gotta say it's like I don't have very many people in my life that have the amount of joy that comes out, and you're so funny and so witty about so many things that it's been just a real pleasure getting to know you as a human being on and off these podcasts. So thank you so much for
Likewise, you're like my bestie now. You're the only person I write to on Messenger. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna rant about this to Cameron. And then we have a time difference, so it's actually like 3 a.m. when you get that message. I'm like, oops, whatever. You do the same at night, though. Sometimes I'm like sleeping and it's like beep. So yeah, it's been super lovely. And one day we'll just like take over the Twin Peaks Festival, like as fans probably. I don't know. Next year, I'm totally planning on going there. Like as soon as the tickets go on sale, because I want to meet Christabel. Like she's my new role model. I have a lot of role models, but I totally want to meet her. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the state of Washington at some point to take pictures of Twin Peaks stuff.
Let me give you some advice real quick. If you do decide to go, one, I'd like to go myself because I've never been to the festival.
Yeah, come over.
But I had a friend do this, and he said it was the greatest thing that he'd ever done because I recommended it. Go up the week before the festival.
Okay.
So that you're not just there surrounded by Twin Peaks Uber fans.
And stuff, yeah.
You can go up there, take in the sights, take in the locations for like a week, and then enjoy the festival. Because then you've already had that personal, cathartic, religious experience.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can share it with other people.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, and I remember you saying how important it was for you to like have this individual moment, like introspective moments in that area so that you could, it's like your church, right? You want to have like a few minutes to yourself and your own thoughts, I guess.
Before the barbecue starts, right?
Yeah, because where I come from, churches always barbecuing everything. It's like hell there. It's just like nonstop charcoal. On that note, thanks again for being here, Cameron. It was a pleasure. Thanks for everyone watching. 16 lucky people right now.
How much?
Who are 16.
I think it's 60.
No, not yet. Maybe next time. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because Otherwise, you won't know what's happening, and it will be a tragedy. So to avoid a tragedy, just make sure that you're subscribed, and you'll be fine forever. That's how things work in life. And make sure you subscribe to Cameron's channel, Obnoxious and Anonymous, which is not at all what it is. It's not obnoxious or anonymous. So it's a great concept. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll speak to you guys very soon. Bye.